Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or as we like to call it, the Tri-F Podcast, where we try not to mess the podcast up. And today, I'm a little wore out, Trevor. How are you?
You wore out.
I'm wore out, man. I'm wore out.
I'm alright. I'm currently in Texas with family.
Sweet.
So, I am outside.
You're outside. Dude, I need to get it set where I can be outside. I think it'd be really cool to have. I want to get the chimenea, set up,
cool.
and get that thing burning, and then have the live stream by the chimenea. I have like a whole vision for what I'd like to do, but it ain't happening yet.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I think so. Have a fireside chat only on YouTube. But anyway, okay. Today, we need to talk about the House of David, and then we've got Billy Carson and Alex Jones. And what else? You're going to have to help me.
Frequencies.
I'm sorry?
Frequencies.
Musical frequencies, that's right. And
Musical
then the CIA claimed to have found the Ark of the Covenant, probably to distract from the JFK files. But, it turns out they hadn't even found it at all. It was like some vision by a man who stares at a goat or something. But anyway. And then
we were going to talk about our 100th video on YouTube.
That's right. This live stream will have our 100th episode within it. So we will reminisce, if anybody cares to reminisce, at some point in the evening. Okay, but first, for episode 1, let's get started with the House of David, episode 4. Trevor, what are your thoughts, good sir?
I liked it.
Oh, well, we're going to be in a conflict because I did not.
I liked the concept of David and Saul, kind of getting to know each other and him singing to him and stuff.
See, that's what I wanted to see, but that's not what we saw.
What did you saw?
We saw David and his girlfriend get to know each other. I don't know if David and Saul spoke 2 words to each other in that episode.
Well, he's just singing to him, right?
Yeah, but you would think there'd have to be like some kind of interview, some kind of interaction, because, the majority of this show, if it persists, which it probably will, it's going to be Saul and David, going to war. You got to get that rivalry established. We did not get that in this episode. We got a girlfriend teaching David how to read. And then the end of that episode just infuriated me. But anyway, you go finish making your case, and then I'll give my perspective.
Well, in the Bible, they were friends to start out with, right?
I don't know exactly how it plays out.
Wrong?
I remember that he does marry her. I don't remember if it's before he starts singing to Saul. It's certainly not before David and Goliath. Yeah. So that relationship doesn't bud before David and Goliath, or at least it's not mentioned before David and Goliath. But that doesn't matter. I wasn't bothered by her teaching him to read, but I'll get into what bothered me later. You finish your thoughts first, and then I'll give my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was kind of neat how they, they've been dragging things out and whatnot. So a little deeper dive into him soothing Saul with his music.
Yeah.
Because David was a musician.
Right.
And so, as far as that direction, showing how David played his music so well, and just that aspect of it, I really liked.
Anything else you liked?
Her teaching him to read, that was pretty cool. But a lot of people back then didn't know how to read or write. So.
Okay.
What did you not like about it? Because I can see you really disdained it very, very much.
50% of it I liked, and 50% of I don't like.
So you're 50.
I've got concerns. I want this show to work because David's one of my favorite characters in the Bible. But I'm getting vibes that David is going to end up not being the main protagonist of the House of David. It's going to be You thought this show was about David. It's not about David. It's about the house of David, which means in English, this is actually about David's wife. Suck it, Christian. But that's my concern, because she's narrating the story and she's getting way too much screen time. I wasn't entirely... First of all, I've complained multiple times that you're getting the strong female woman thing to the point that it's getting a little redundant. You got Goliath's got a mom, David's got a mom, that we know nothing about in scripture. Saul's wife is like secretly the puppet master orchestrating everything behind the scenes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Name one person who doesn't have a mom.
Yes, but their moms are the most important figures in their lives. You understand?
They are. They bore them. They carried them. They conceived them. No, what? Dang it! I lost it. I was trying to go off the Star Wars.
Yes,
thing.
but this is I'm leaning into a kind of a Hollywood trope. One of the requirements for writing, especially if you want DEI money. And they're hitting the bullet points. Like, no man can have a strong father figure. Let me give you a good case in point. So David has been finally anointed by Samuel, right? In the previous episode, he finally got anointed. Now, if you study like classic storytelling, like the rules for classic storytelling, Joseph Campbell's Hero of a Thousand Faces and books like that, at this point in the story, when the hero, that is David, receives the calling, he is supposed to go through a season of being under a mentor. Now, who's the mentor supposed to be, Trevor? Samuel, that's right. Who ends up being the mentor, Trevor, in this episode?
His wife.
Girlfriend.
Girlfriend.
I'm not going to try to say her name because I'll screw it up and then I'll get made fun of for it. But girlfriend. Girlfriend ends up being the mentor.
How do you spell her name?
I think it's spelled like Michelle, but it's like Mikhail or something like that. And I'm not even going to try to say that I'm saying that right because I know I'm not.
David's wife, Michelle. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to call her the girlfriend because it's funny to me. But
okay.
Anyway.
David had a girlfriend.
Yeah, no, but what's supposed to be happening is Samuel is supposed to be mentoring David. Like, where's David's relationship, like close relationship with God, where's the groundwork for that laid? You know? It would be Samuel. It would be Samuel, the prophet, who is supposed to be training him to replace Saul. And we get 2 minutes of screen time with them together. And what do we get instead? The girlfriend. Now, I'm perfectly happy with the girlfriend hearing him play and swooning and then, letting him go, you should play for my dad. This will be a great idea. That made sense to me. I don't even have a problem with her teaching him how to read, although I think that might be a little debatable because I don't know how far back the tradition of, Jewish people being required to read the Torah at a young age. I don't know how far back that goes. So I don't know if David actually wouldn't have known how to read, but poor Bronze Age, he may not have. So it's fair. It's fair to have her teach him to read. That's fine. That's fine. I have no issues with that. But where I started to get mad is I'm like, wait. Why are Samuel and David only getting 2 minutes of screen time together? This is not good. Because what should be happening is David, since he's the newly anointed king, should be going, oh, crud, what does that mean? Like, literally? Well, how am I going to overthrow Saul? Like, how's this going to happen? And then he's supposed to be Samuel's supposed to be talking him through, teaching him about faith. At one point, David should be asking Samuel about Saul. Like, hey, tell me about Saul. Why did God reject him? What happened? Give me some idea as to what I'm getting into and who Saul is. And this is the point where Samuel goes, oh, well, Saul got proud and he did this and he did that. And finally it came to a head in Hebron. And that you could even create some foreshadowing with Solomon if you wanted. Like if you were really clever, you could say that Solomon running off and letting other things, get more important is what drove him away from God. And that's eventually what's going to cause the house of David to collapse. You could have set up some great foreshadowing in that interaction between Samuel and David, but they don't do that. And they don't teach, and they don't have David learn anything about Saul, which creates another problem because what should have happened after that is that David should have had a personal interview with Saul, and then David should have learned how to communicate with Saul since he's already spoken with Samuel. Like, if you were going to go with classic storytelling rules, something like that should have been what happened. Does Frodo meet his girlfriend in Act 1? No, he goes with Gandalf. So it's classic storytelling, and if you're going to sit there and turn the story of David into like 8 seasons, you should at least go through classic storytelling. Instead, we get girlfriend. And I didn't get mad, Trevor, until David, the guy who's been singing in front of people, presumably for years, gets stage fright. That's when I got ticked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, remember he had like the heart pounding, go, bah, 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 bah. And then he's like all sweating and freaking out. And then he stares at the girl, and, he's like,
He's fine.
Because David, who is in his wheelhouse, playing music, the thing he knows, all of a sudden would have failed if it wasn't for the benevolent beauty standing beside the throne. I'm like, okay, you're laying it on thick. Stop it. DEI. I'm telling you. I'm like, if this goes on for another episode, I'm gonna pull up. I might be wrong about it being the DEI rules, but there is a Hollywood checklist and or a DEI checklist.
What's DEI?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Basically, that we're not gonna hire based on merit. We're gonna, use nepotism and narcissism to determine our hiring decisions, and call it, equality. So.
Jessica Lambert commented, "Hey, you guys sound good."
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you, Jess.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay, because I was just going to scream girlfriend 6 more times. No.
Speaking of girlfriend.
Where?
In chat. Sure.
Oh, yeah, well, it's my wife, but yeah. Not quite. But anyway, and so that was bad enough, because there should be this show, I'm telling you, Trevor, I am scared this show was going to get approved for like 5 seasons, even though it's crap. Oh, see, you made her mad now. She's like, girlfriend.
She's not mad.
You are my wife, and I love you dearly. Not girlfriend, I promise.
Sorry. I don't want to cause any problems. I'll redacted.
You're going to get me in trouble. So.
Redacted would be the right word for that, right?
Yeah.
I redact what I said.
No. So David, the musician, the guy who knows how to play the harp and sing, that's his thing, gets stage fright. I'm like, shut up, show. That ain't like, he can't be good at everything. And it's fair to, that he needs to learn to read and she can teach him and all. That's all fine. But stage fright, really?
What? Me personally, I think it was more of he was terrified of Saul because what if Saul found out?
That might have been, but they don't tell you.
But they don't tell you.
And if that had been the case, why would the girlfriend make him feel better?
Down.
He's like, I'm going to get hung as a usurper. I don't care about girls right now. My life is on the line. Why would staring at the girl make him feel better?
What if that's foreshadowing for when he does that ultimate sin later?
Well, that's another thing I'm thinking. I'm thinking these people are way more excited for David and Bathsheba than they are for David and Goliath. Because things are going to get real awkward when we get to Bathsheba if we spend too much time on this. Yeah. Maybe that's what they're going for. But anyway, because her kid isn't even going to get to be the next heir, next king of Israel. It's Bathsheba's kid. This is going to be all sorts of awkward if this goes on.
Yeah. Jessica says, girls always seem to make David feel better.
Well, he was a polygamist. So, again, awkward. Like, okay, we're really going to... Look, if you want to go this direction, I'm not necessarily going to complain about it. That's what Jess said. He had like 300 concubines. Are we sure we want to spend too much time on this direction? But...
Do you imagine?
I think we're going to conveniently ignore it.
Okay.
I think we're going to conveniently ignore all the harem.
If we're going to conveniently
ignore I'm saying the writers are going to conveniently ignore it. They're going to really hype up the girlfriend, because I'm not saying her name. I can't. I am a Southerner. I'm not even going to try. But
Michelle?
Michael or whatever. I don't
Mickey O.
Michaela. I don't know. Anyway, the girlfriend. So I don't know why they're spending so much time on this and skipping the hero mentor archetype, which is who Samuel was to David. And if you're going to add stuff to the Bible, why not add interactions between David and the prophet? And why not set up the contrast between David and Saul as he's interacting with Samuel? It makes no sense to be spending this much time with the girlfriend yet. You can. There's a proper season for it, but it's not now. Because the way this should be going, and again, this is why these are Hollywood checklists that are coming at the expense of the writing and the storytelling. Because there is a season to have this love story, but it's after David and Goliath. It's after you got David coming into his own. Because what needs to be happening right now is David needs to learn from Samuel, and then David needs to be interacting with Saul. Like, again, this is like classic story archetype, hero of 1,000 faces stuff. So you need to get the mentor hero archetype, and then you need to get the rivalry set up between David and Saul. Saul has to like David a lot to make any of this stuff that happens in the story work. Saul has to be sentient enough to like David. David has got to impress him, and then David has got to, Jess says because girls are prettier than prophets. I know they're prettier than prophets, but you still got to tell a good story.
I don't know. The guy from Avatar is pretty.
That's shame. That's a shame. No.
It's the same guy. Samuel is the bad guy from Avatar, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He is. And he's a good actor, which is why it's really infuriating they're not utilizing him the way they should. Like, because he could pull off the whole mentor archetype thing, but they won't.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
They won't. Yeah, I don't remember his name, but anyway, yeah, they're not utilizing Samuel like they should. Instead, we've got this whole thing where Samuel is running away with his wife because he's afraid Saul's going to kill him, which, he might have been afraid Saul was going to kill him. I'm not going to argue that, but I'm like, David needs to be involved in that somehow.
Did Samuel run away in the actual Bible story?
I don't remember. Like, maybe that's something we need to start doing is like comparing the actual biblical events to the story. But I didn't want to go that way because I'm like, it's not that big a deal that they're adding stuff.
Just said, stop making sense, Gary. Just let them butcher the story in peace.
Thanks. Yeah, I know. I'm a monster. What can I say? So anyway, yeah. But you've got to have this season of Samuel and David being the hero, and then you've got to have Saul liking David at first because you got to explain how David's going to get close enough to a princess for her to even fall in love with him. That's point number one. You've also got to explain how David and Jonathan are going to be friends and get close enough to be friends, right? You've got to figure out how David even gets into this circle, and that has to happen through Saul really liking David personally. You cannot have Saul's flippin' wife being the secret puppet master making all the decisions because Saul doesn't know what planet he's on. That's not how that works.
So maybe they're setting up for Jezebel.
Yeah, I know, but if you want to do a story about Jezebel, do a story about Jezebel. We don't know anything about Saul's wife. I don't care about Saul's wife. Like, it's fine for her to have her own little side quest. She cannot be the driving force of the entire freaking series.
Unless Disney writes it.
Disney is writing this because it's actually the CIA writing all the crap that's come out for the last decade through DEI. But anyway, if this goes on for one more episode, I am going to pull up that list and I'm going to go beat by beat and show how they're more concerned about getting that money than audience retention.
Oh, yeah. Well, who isn't these days?
Yeah. Because they're like, well, audiences, those are fickle, but the CIA or USAID, they'll give me money. I know they will. Anyway. So
I want to be given money.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? So there's that.
Wouldn't that be nice? We could wake up.
Don't the Beach Boys, no. So yes, so there's got to be, but we haven't seen. David has literally talked to Saul's mom or Saul's wife more than he's talked to Saul. 4 episodes in, that is ridiculous. There is no reason for that because people want to see David and Saul interact. They don't. Yeah. They don't want to see David and the evil mother-in-law interact. Like, that doesn't make sense. And so, and after all this, like diverting classic story, getting rid of classic story archetypes in favor of the woman, getting the girlfriend, which again entirely too soon because David hasn't earned it yet, as it were. He hasn't slayed Goliath. He hasn't gotten the father's affection. He hasn't, he's not even in the running at this point, so we shouldn't be spending this much time on it this soon. Because, again, this is the girl. Like, there's a season for it, Trevor, because this is the girl that David, kills, like, so many Philistines and puts their foreskins in a bag and gives it to Saul. Like, there's going to be a season to have this love story. It's there.
Yeah.
But not right now. It's too blasted soon.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so, but after all that flippin' build-up, then we get the oh-so-horribly convenient. I thought Disney may have wrote this, Trevor, because it couldn't have come at a more cliche time. So David and the girlfriend start falling in love, and they're learning to read or whatever, and then just conveniently, for no reason, all of a sudden, Mikiel, the girlfriend, has to marry another man, which that hasn't been done 3,000 times. Ugh. And so, now David's got to play for this. I don't know what this party would be called. Some kind of weird betrothal thing or whatever. And
was
so,
that the end of the episode?
Yeah, that's the end of the episode. And so he's sitting there playing, all upset and in a huff because, she might be getting married. Love to a love will follow you forever. Yeah, you're right, Jess.
What's that from?
Princess Bride, I believe.
Princess Bride. Yeah. We should do a review on that one.
I hate that movie so much. It is so overrated. What? I know. I'm a criminal.
I should.
It's hypocritical of me because I'm the one ranting about classic story archetypes, and it's basically the embodiment of all those things.
Once upon a time.
Yeah, it's basically the embodiment of all things once upon a time. But
well, I don't know.
Yeah, Jess is like blasphemy. I know, but you married me. Your fault. So
now I know how to torture you. Now I know how to torture you.
Yeah, I just quote the Princess Bride at me.
No, lock you in a room and play it on repeat.
Oh gosh. Anyway, let me finish my rant on this crummy episode. So you've got the trope of she's gonna marry another man, and he's all mad. Jess is like, divorce, no.
Blasphemy.
So,
sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So he leaves. The second he catches the girlfriend alone, he leaves his band, which he's never met before, but they play perfectly in sync, like nothing's wrong. Which, maybe David's a really good musician, so it's not a big deal. I don't know. I'm not a musician. Who knows?
They probably learned from NSYNC.
Huh?
They probably learned how to be in sync from NSYNC.
Shush. Just no. Let me finish my review. So he meets the girl. Now, this would have been the perfect opportunity. The perfect opportunity to show a lot about the girlfriend's character. Like, I am a princess. I live in these nice walls and in this nice house, but there's a trade-off. I don't get to marry the person I love. I have to marry who I'm told, because that is my job as a member of this house. And so it doesn't matter what I feel for you. I don't get a choice. That's what it means to be a princess. That's why I was ticked off when you brought it up in the library. We could have had a really good scene showing her conflict with her love for David and her loyalty to her father and her house and all of that inner turmoil stuff that people actually want to watch. We could have had all that. What we get is David going, oh, we have to stop this somehow. And then she goes, we? And I just heard, I don't need no man. You don't own me. That's all I heard. And I'm sitting here going, yeah, exactly. Jess says, but she's a strong, independent woman. Exactly. Exactly. She's a strong, independent woman. How dare David say we? Because that implies a plural and that she's in some way connected with him, and she don't need nobody for no thing, no thank you.
Yeah.
So it was a terrible episode. Absolute dog crap. And if they do another one, I'm pulling up the DEI checklist, and we're going to go beat by tedious beat, and I'm going to say they're not writing a Bible story. They're writing for the money. But I don't want to think that about them. I don't want to think that. I'm rooting for the show. I want the show to work. I'm not mad that they're adding stuff. I'm not mad about that. But you do have to tell a good story, not hit the Hollywood checklist. And if they keep hitting the Hollywood checklist, I'm pulling up the checklist and we're going over it. So,
Dollar bills, y'all.
Exactly. Jessica says dollar bills, y'all. So that's my thoughts on David. I do have one nice thing. Jesse wasn't a complete jerk this time. So good job, show. You let Jesse have a little bit of a redeeming moment.
Wait,
Excellent.
which part was he not a jerk?
Jesse was actually like a normal character in a normal show this time.
What do you mean by that?
He's been like mad because David's a bastard and, rejecting him and playing into David's teenage angst about not belonging anywhere and all that cliche crap.
So now that he's anointed, he changed his whole
Well, he just trusts Samuel.
dynamic.
He just trusts Samuel. So he's like, I don't get it, but this guy's always right, so I'm just going to trust Samuel, which is what that character probably would have done. So I'm like, okay, that's fair. Again, it's like I've been complaining about the girl power stuff, before, because it wasn't horrible. It was just getting redundant. But now it's starting to, really affect the show. Like, we're losing the mentor-hero trope. We're losing the rivalry trope. We're getting the love story too soon when David hasn't even really established himself as a member of the castle yet. It's starting to bleed into the setup, and it's really gonna, I think they're kind of trying to emasculate David because it's not, they're trying to emasculate David by doing little things like giving him stage fright, which is really irritating.
Yeah, I don't think he had stage fright.
Well, it's ridiculous. Not if you play in front of people all the time. That's stupid. That is monumentally stupid.
That's a good question.
I always was under the impression he was 12, like he was just on the verge of being an adult, but because I don't even think he would have gotten into the battlefield unless he was at least that age.
Yeah.
But I always was under the impression he was 12. Don't know that, but I was under the impression he was about 12.
12 to 14, somewhere in there.
Yeah. So, okay, that's my thoughts on the House of David. I'm going to give it one more chance. And if we get this crap in episode 5, I'm pulling up the DEI checklist. And after the DEI checklist,
You might as well just have it ready.
Oh, because you've watched ahead, haven't you? So
Yeah, I watched all the episodes in one day because I thought we were gonna review them all.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put that on you.
No, I actually kind of like the show, so
Well,
I got hooked.
I might just watch them. Well, I'll do one more. If it goes the way I think it's going to go, I'm going to pull up the checklist, and then after that, I'm going to review the rest of them all in one go, because I can only scream girl power so many times. I can't keep screaming girl power for 12 episodes.
I think they just released 6.
Just released 6? Are you sure?
So we can only watch up to 6, I think. I could be wrong.
Well, my misery will be short-lived then. So, that'd be good.
Let me check that real quick so I'm not...
Things are going to have to start
Talking
picking
out
up,
my
though, man.
butt.
This thing is dragging.
Dragon.
Oh, yeah. Jess made a great point. She says, David danced naked in the street. Pretty sure he was pretty confident. Yeah, I don't see David getting stage fright. So, what do you like about the show, Trevor? Jessica asks, what do you like about the show?
I like everything about the show.
Be specific.
Oh. Just the story of it.
Just the story of it.
My favorite show is Supernatural. Two brothers fighting against, everything supernatural, including angels and demons, and it goes against everything biblical. So at one point, the brothers wind up fighting God.
Yeah, you don't want to be a theologian and watch that.
Yeah. Anyways, so I personally like a good story, and without bringing my religious background into it, I just think it's a good story.
Jess asked, do the biblical, I'm assuming biblical, do the inaccuracies bother you in the House of David?
No, because then it just becomes another show. That has there have been plenty of biblical shows that have done that. And then it's just, we as people have become numb to, oh, that's totally wrong. I'm just like, it's wrong. Oh, well, it's still a good show.
Yep. But if you're going to do all that additional stuff and you want to be considered a regular show, I'm going to review you the same way I would review any other show.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's not great right now. But I'll give it one more chance. And I'll check how many episodes there are next week. Because, I wanted my reactions to be organic, Trevor. So I've been intentionally withholding, like, watching ahead or doing any research on it. I wanted to give my gut thoughts.
Yeah.
So it was all genuine and whatnot. But, yeah, I'm going to just do a generic review after that by the end. But
Jess asked, do you think that inaccuracies can be overlooked in order to get people interested in the story and therefore in Christianity?
yes.
What? I'm not sure what she's asking.
She's asking that, does it matter that the story is inaccurate because, there's a greater good at play? Like, the inaccuracies are meant to rope people in to a Bible story, and then hopefully they'll become converted over time.
No, I don't think it's a good reenactment to convert people to Christianity. No.
Well, not if you're going to do
another...
DEI.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, no, it's just, going back to Supernatural, they kind of do the same thing. They bring up a lot of Bible stuff, but it's inaccurate.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's their own interpretation.
Yeah.
And so it would actually turn people away if they didn't know the Bible or read their Bible.
Yeah. I look at it a little bit differently. Obviously you want the end goal to be people converting to Christianity, but I do like to see more Christian stuff out there because I want the Christian ethos to be part of the culture. And you do have to saturate, the media with those kinds of ideas in order to, make Christianity something normal in the culture. Because if it's something normal, then people are more likely to listen to the actual more subtle theological claims because they don't have quite so far to jump, let's say, at least mentally, before they can start actually exploring the ideas. Like, they don't have... Yeah. An angel is not a foreign concept to them. And, God, as, in the form... like the Trinitarian God, Jehovah... Like, that's not like a foreign concept to them. Like, they're not starting from scratch. Having Christianity as a normal part of the culture helps convert people later on. So I don't mind these shows that use Christianity and kind of twist stuff around so much because I feel like that's part of keeping Christianity in the culture and keeping it relevant in the minds of people. So when you do try to, talk to them about what this stuff actually means and what the truth of everything is, they'll be more likely to be converted. So that's fine. But the problem is you've got DEI, you've got anti-Christian stuff that is trying to get people automatically hostile to Christianity. They don't want... like, if this is... Like, I think the reason I'm going after this House of David thing, though, is I'm starting to suspect a fox in the hen house. Like, David is like the quintessential masculine figure. There's a lot of emphasis in returning to masculinity right now in the culture. And I think they're kind of trying to undermine that. And so they're undermining it by demasculating David. by making him this angsty teen who's swooning over a girl, who gets stage fright even though he plays in public constantly. They're trying to make him seem weak and pensive and passive and, like a beta male type. And it's like this counter narrative to the people's wanting to return to masculinity type of thing.
Yeah.
And so I think as much as I would like to see shows like David and The Chosen and everything else and see Christianity become part of the culture, these people are trying to undermine Christian values, even in Christian media. And so they're weaponizing our culture to they're weaponizing Christianity, trying to get it, its very characters to destroy itself, possibly.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if the writers are doing this. I think the writers are going, well, we can't count on audience retention to bring money, so we need to get the DEI. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I think they're writing to the tropes to guarantee the funding. But that's not going to create a very good or effective show. And those tropes are designed to get people away from Christianity. They're designed to destroy the archetypes that Christianity sets up. Like Joseph Campbell's Hero of a Thousand Faces. That book is talking about all religions in the world, but one of them that he cites mainly is the Bible, because he's talking about how those ancient ideas of what makes a man, what makes a woman, what our ideals should be, what we should admire courage over cowardice and all of this, those things, we would argue, it's just like the flood myth. It's there's a lot of flood myths, but Noah's Ark is the first, and everything comes from the Bible. All these ideals that everybody tells about in their stories, they come from the Bible. And so to undermine biblical characters is to undermine those ideals themselves in their truest form, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, that's what they've been going for from day one.
Yeah. Because you're under a coup, and they want to emasculate the men so we're easier to overthrow. Because this is a country of 24 million guns, and they can't get rid of them all. But that's another topic.
Not all at once, anyway.
Not all at once, anyway, right. Yeah, good luck with that buyback program, guys. So...
Build back better?
Yeah, so let's see. What else? Did we get everything Jess said?
Jess, that is a good point. Supernatural does not claim to be Christian.
That's true. It does claim to be the opposite. So...
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Okay. So we're done with David. So
Who?
The House of David. So
What house?
we're not leaving. This is just the end of the first episode. Trevor, do you want to close this out?
Thank you for watching the show up to this point. We're closing out, like Gary just said, but not for the night because we're live. This is just part of the editing. So we're going to move on to the next topic. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Okay. Jess added a question at the 11th hour, so I guess this will be a bonus for the live stream. People who watch the live stream.
Bonuses. I love bonuses.
Yeah, so
And
what does she
jokes.
say here? She says, but do you think it will be too Christians for the non-Christians and not Christian enough for the non-Christians?
Yes.
Referring to, I don't know if she's talking about Supernatural or talking about House of David. I think House of David, Supernatural, it's got about, its theological depth is about it's about teaspoon depth. But anyway, so I'm not too worried about Supernatural one way or the other. Oh, House of David, okay. Now, House of David's going to be one of those situations where, the soldier gets hit with both the Union and Confederate bullets. Nobody's going to be happy. Non-Christians are not going to want to watch this because it's got God in it and it's a Bible story. So no, they're not going to want to watch it. But the Christians aren't going to like it either because their ultimate masculine hero, the quintessential masculine hero, David, gets stage fright.
Well, and I've asked a couple of people that don't like Bible stuff. They think David was a murderer, and obviously he cheated on his wife. Mainly, it's the murder part.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, he was a murderer, and so he should have went to prison or died for it. Instead, all he did was pray to God, and it's all okay. No, I don't like that, and so they don't even give the show a chance or the Bible a chance.
Well, that's just Yeah, Uriah got screwed. That's true. That's very true. Jessica says, yeah, Uriah got screwed. There is an entire theological conversation around that, and we could have it if you wanted. I guess we can. Yes, Uriah got screwed. And yes, David was a murderer and did horrible things. Part of it is, I am way too tired to have this conversation, but I'm going to try.
We've already closed it. So
No. We've still got the live stream going, and I don't want to leave people hanging. So, I'm exhausted, but I'm going to try to limp through this. So, first of all, yes, God forgives people who do really, really bad things. Part of this is we have this idea of justice being just rooted in punishment when it's really about restoration. Yeah. And killing David or putting David in jail is really stupid because millions of people would have died. Okay, yeah. He's the king. And if you have something, if God slew him or they threw him in jail, it's not like a democracy where you've got a line of successions and a VP and an election cycle and all this. So...
yeah, he repented for what he did.
Yeah, right? But the thing is, people don't like repentance. They like it when they get it, right. But whenever it's somebody else, and it's like, oh, well, God isn't just. Oh, really? You want him to be just to you, you self-righteous turd? And that's the thing that I always find irritating about, a lot of the secular people, is it's they actually end up being the most self-righteous because, they're happy with forgiveness. They just don't want anybody else to get it. And the thing with David is, if they had, play that out. Just play that scenario out. What happens if David goes to jail? What happens if David is killed? Does that benefit the kingdom?
No, then they have to find a new king that won't be anointed by God.
Yeah. And so God does punish David. They don't realize what happened to David as a result of that because they don't believe in divine punishment either. Yeah. Guys, there are things out there worse than death. Absalom, his son... killed his brother because his brother raped his sister, and then Absalom, out of spite, ran king out of the kingdom and then had sex with part of his harem on the rooftop in front of everybody, expressly to shame him. It's not like David got off scot-free. Yes, he was forgiven. Yes, he doesn't spend eternity in hell, but he was still punished. And this is one of those really complicated situations about, the Bible, and this is one of the reasons why I think it's true, because Solomon was the product of David's relationship with Bathsheba, and he was the greatest king Israel ever had. But at the same time, God also, through divine providence, punished David severely by having him basically lose his kingdom for a time, have to go to war to reclaim his kingdom. He lost, his castle. He lost, his daughter was raped. His brother, his son was killed. Absalom was eventually killed.
He had to live in a cave.
Mm-hmm. And the Bible makes it very clear that this stuff was done specifically because of what happened with Uriah. And the takeaway that you're supposed to have is not just that all these bad things happened, but you have to look at how David reacted. He took the punishment. When there was a particular figure, I don't remember his name, but he was part of the house of Saul. And when he sees David dethroned and basically fleeing the city before Absalom can get there, he starts mocking the guy, And David's reaction is very interesting. He basically lets him. He's like, look, let him do it. And he basically, before he punishes that guy, he waits to see if God is going to give him his throne back. But he could have killed the guy there. He could have punished the guy right then and there. But the point was, he took that punishment the way he was supposed to. It was like accepting your spanking, as it were. He understood that, what was happening and why it was happening. And he didn't get mad at Absalom or anybody else. He knew this was God's divine wrath because people back then actually recognized providence. So that's another part of the story too. So it's not like Uriah the Hittite got. It's not like Uriah didn't get. Like there wasn't a punishment on Uriah's behalf. You know what I mean? But people think, oh, murder, jail. Like that's the only thing that can freaking happen.
Yeah.
So, all right, is that a satisfactory answer? I feel like that was a satisfactory answer. Considering how exhausted I am, I think that's pretty decent. So,
I love you, bud.
I love you too. All
How's
right.
it going, Jen?
Hi, Jen. All right. Okay, let's see. Can you read the comments? I need to breathe.
Let's see. During Gary's rant, Jessica said, "Yeah, Uriah got screwed, but that's the best thing about David. He makes mistakes, but God still loves him because he realizes he made mistakes, sincerely begs forgiveness. And then he is a cautionary tale and a story that God shows unending, unconditional love." And then Jen popped in and said, took in his own karma. And then Jess said, God also uses flawed people to do amazing things if they are self-reflective, humble, and sincerely regretful.
Sweet. Okay. So if you're on the live stream, that was a little additional thing for you. Since we already closed out the first episode. So, all right. Now on to episode... episode 2. Trevor, do you want to sign us in, please?
Wait, what are we talking about?
This is Billy Carson saying he knew about the pyramids all along or some goofy thing. On Alex Jones. Billy Carson on Alex Jones. I have not seen this. I have done zero prep. But this is not to be informative. This is me wanting to mock Billy Carson because I'm getting really tired of the Billy Carson and the Ammon Hillmon people. These guys, they just need to be mocked relentlessly.
It's a good night to mock somebody.
Yeah, so this is not going to be educational. This is going to be, I do not like this guy. So
your education.
Because the flaws are glaring enough for me to consider them lies. That's why.
All right, let's get into it. You ready?
Yeah, so go ahead, sign us in, and then I guess we'll have to do the intro all over again, but so just sign us in.
All right, in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, where we try not to have the podcast up, or, I already messed it up. Anyways, we're talking about, Billy Carson on the Alex Jones show, talking about the pyramids. And with me tonight, I got Gary. How are you?
I am so tired. How are you?
You're not allowed to be tired.
Well, I'll take some meth later. Be all right.
No, you're not allowed to take meth either.
Okay.
Maybe some coffee.
Maybe some coffee. You know who else is on meth? Billy Carson. So
well, let's get into it.
Let's get into it then.
Methanated he is.
Apparently, Billy Carson knew about these giant skyscraper tall pillars under the pyramid all along. Let's see. Alex Jones has this wonderful, charming title for him. Top ancient history researcher Billy Carson. Yes, the guy who called the Sinaiticus, the Sinai Bible, is a top ancient history researcher. Yeah, okay. And I'm the Pope, Trevor. I'm the Pope. I am religious and married a Catholic. That makes me the Pope. So
what kind of Pope are you?
Huh?
What kind of Pope are you?
The best Pope. Whatever that is. The best Pope. I'm the popiest Pope that ever poped. Anyway, so top ancient history researcher Billy Carson.
Was that a Pope joke?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Poked a Pope joke at the Pope. You poper.
I'm too tired for this. Anyway, okay.
Just hit play.
Huh?
Just hit play. We'll watch it.
Oh, let me finish the title. It's special. I pulled it up and everything. Whose predictions about hidden structures under the Great Pyramid of Giza complex have been proven true. I seriously doubt this guy predicted there were pillars. He probably said there's something under the pyramids, and now he's going, well, I was right all along. I so doubt this guy predicted those giant pillars. I don't think anybody saw that coming. Give me a break. But we'll see, though. We're going to hear him out. I plan to mock him, but we're still going to hear him out. So, let's see. To reveal more secrets and lost knowledge about humanity's past. Oh, yes. Mr. Sinai Bible is going to tell us about the secrets of the past. All right.
Give me a break.
Here we
break
go.
Me a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
Yes, sir. All right, let's see how bad this hurts.
Anybody who's halfway informed about health and vitality knows that turmeric is...
Hang on a minute, I'm getting an echo.
Pause.
Time to put on the headphones. Trevor, entertain the crowd while I fix my mistakes.
Are you sharing screen?
I'm not sharing the screen of you, though. I am sharing the screen of the audience.
It's like, I'm only seeing it on the YouTube back end here.
My bad. I should have thought about that. Of course, I got the window so screwed up. I don't even know if you can see. Okay, so Jess says she sees the screen. That's great.
Okay, I can see it.
And then we froze, so hang on a minute.
Freezing.
We broke it. We broke it.
Oh no, I know y'all can see it on the YouTube side, but
hang on a minute. There we go.
We're about 10 seconds ahead of y'all. So if I do I gotta do a natural reaction on the Zoom call. Otherwise, I won't be seeing it for 10 seconds after it's already played.
Yeah. We gotta share it on the back end. So, okay, you got it? I gotta play Alex Jones.
Yeah, I got it.
All right. I gotta play Alex Jones's ad now.
Top super nutrients in the world. But
I think that mankind as a whole has forgotten that abundance is our birthright. It's our birthright. And that we as people have been oppressed and suppressed. And yes, you're right, Alex. Every race of people on this planet at one point in the past has been enslaved. And why is it that we are not enslaved anymore? Why is it the fact that majority of people have been free? Now, there are some small pocket of slavery going on here and there, like in Libya. Empty tubes of actually. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of times. It's the beginning of times. It's the beginning of the awakening. It's the return of the Christ consciousness. That's what it's the return of right now.
We've heard that phrase a lot. We've been getting that phrase a lot.
You didn't read the Bible.
No, but I keep seeing this. I keep seeing this phrase, the Christ consciousness. Bill Durham, Billy Carson, all these guys keep ranting about it. But what that means in English is, you're God. You're God. You're God on the inside, which basically means there is no God. You're God. These people sell atheism like it's a new packaged Christianity because Richard Dawkins failed.
Well, I mean, the enemy likes to go back to the original.
Yeah, this is just the new angry atheist crap. But they're...
Well, I mean, it's been around since Jesus Christ was even hung on the cross. Christ consciousness, that's been a thing since then.
I don't know. I don't think it was a thing, this particular term, but this idea that you're God has been... Yeah, it's exactly, Jessica. It's God within. It's you can be as God because if you think it, wish it, super duper hard, you can manifest your reality. I don't know if that's even possible, but I think Cody's got a good point. Even if that were possible, it would be like demonic and there would be some kind of trade-off as far as like manifestation crap goes. But
well, it's also part of the original lie,
Yeah.
He said you can be like God if you eat of this tree.
Yeah. But anyway, so Christ consciousness. Anytime you hear that, just assume the dude's full of crap because he's calling you a god. Anyway.
Gary, you can be Christ conscious.
I doubt it. I'd probably just eat the fruit and get kicked out of the garden. But
just read the gospel. You'll be Christ conscious.
I mean, if by Christ conscious you mean conscious of Christ.
Exactly.
Well, there you go. All right. Let's listen to this idiot.
The devil twists that.
Oh, yeah, he twists everything.
Into Christ consciousness.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Exactly, Jess. Thank you. If everyone is a god, then no one is God. Exactly. This is just repackaged angry atheism, and it's attracting the same poor, dumb bunch of kids that Hawkins and all those other clowns attracted 10 years ago. It's the same crap. It's just now we're talking about pyramids, pillars under the pyramids, and all this garbage. So, anyway.
If we can see that the divide and conquer tactics and all of these wars that they've put up
under it, and years ago they found.
All right, so we're just gonna start here. That thing before was just them like replaying, you know. Just it's like he always does. Yeah, he always does like a 2 or 3 minute intro, and then you have to listen to that 2 or 3 minutes again later in the video. So I just try to skip that usually. So this should be the actual beginning of it, and he's talking about the pillars under the pyramids and all that.
All the good YouTubers do that nowadays.
Yeah, I know. It's just frustrating, but that's all right. We'll see what old Jones has to say here.
Other structures, and they're always trying to keep people from looking into it. Here is Billy a few years ago talking about this, and he was on a few years ago with us talking about it, and is being vindicated. So here's a short clip, and then we'll go right to him.
The Great Pyramid at Giza and that plateau is a multifunctional platform or plateau. The Great Pyramid is a multifunctional stone computer, number one. It used to be a power generator, so it generated power as the water used to flow underneath it from the Nile. It's now meandered very, very far away. But back then, it ran right up to the pyramid, and the empty tubes that have actually been inside of underneath the pyramid are still there where the water used to flow. When you have running water underneath crystal magnetized granite, you create something called physiostatic electricity.
I'm so good. Can I just say how right I am? Can I just, relish in my own smartness? No. What did I say at the beginning of this? What did I say? I said he's going to say some kind of dumb approximation of what they found, and then he's going to go, I knew it all along.
Well,
no mention of the Nile.
I think he sounded pretty smart there for a minute.
Yes, because he used big words.
Big words.
But notice, like, this is like rapid-firing bullcrap. This is like taking a giant cow turd, wadding it into a ball, chucking it against the wall, and then when part of that dingleberry sticks to the wall, you're like, I knew it was going to happen. I knew it all along. Basically, he just threw out a bunch of crap, and like 2 things were right. But he predicted it the whole time. Notice what he said. He said, oh, it's a computer. The pyramid is a computer. And it's a power station. And it's a UFO. And it's a water turbine. And they made, cornmeal in it or whatever.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Have you seen Mr. Beast's video on the pyramid? Mr. Beast. You know who Mr. Beast is, right?
Yes.
One of the greatest YouTubers.
Yeah.
Anyways, he actually went to the pyramids and spent 100 hours going through the pyramids, and with one of the Egyptian guys that oversees the whole excavation of all this.
Mm-hmm.
And his video was released like a month before the photos were released.
Oh, really?
And they basically kind of disproved everything, if you will.
Oh, they already disproved the pillars?
But it was conveniently released right before everything else that was released. It's very interesting. I could pull up Mr. Beast's video if you want.
Yeah, we can maybe here in a minute, but
maybe.
Let's read what Jessica says. Like psychics, and then Jen says yes. Yeah, that's right, exactly. It's like, I'm getting an M. M, Mary, Martha, Marie. Marie says hi. That's what's happening. It's just rapid firing a bunch of crap because they knew that the tomb thing was garbage. And that's kind of obvious. Like, really, you're going to build a giant mountain of mud bricks just for a tomb? Shut up. But
well, they worshipped their pharaohs and stuff back then, didn't they?
Yeah, so they say, and they probably did, but it's still a little excessive in practicality. And why would the next guy build a giant mountain for the previous dead guy?
Because that was their dad?
Maybe if that was their dad, but it wasn't always their dad. There's like a transition of power thing. So anyway, so it never made sense that these things were just tombs. So whatever else they are, I mean, it's not that.
Yeah. Just said, someone you lost is reaching out to me from the other side. Someone is connected to the letter D.
Exactly. It's that tactic. I'm getting a D. I'm getting a D. I'm getting a D, knowing that D is a very common name. Like if you did like a little bit of research on Google and you found out what's the first letter of the most commonly used name out there, like J, then you could repeat Jess's sentence and have like a 60-70% chance of getting somebody who's lost somebody with the name J, with a name that starts with J.
Or just get on their Facebook real quick and see.
Or you could like research everybody who's going to be there. Say you got an audience of 60 people and you look up all their friends on Facebook and then claim, whatever. But yeah, this is an old school tactic. So yeah, you say somebody has a name, you look up say the most common name used at the time is J. Then you go, someone you lost is reaching out to you from the other side. Someone who is connected to the letter J. Like, you don't even have to say that the name starts with it. Like, if there is a J in their name, or if they liked a jade emerald, or if their favorite food was jam. You know what I'm saying? And then people will jump on that by themselves. It's just like this broad parameter, and then, you say you've predicted the future after that.
Yeah, you're right, Jen. She's talking about Mr. Beast's video, probably.
Yeah, go ahead and read her comments. Yes, sir.
Jess said right before that, someone you lost is reaching out to the other side. And then Jen said, yep, I've also believed there's tunnels under the Sphinx. But that dude that done a tour with Mr. Beast would close it off and then open it. He has to say who makes a move there. Yeah, because he like owns all that stuff over there.
Yeah.
He has a say in who goes underneath the tunnels or underneath the pyramids or... Yeah, That's a good point, Jen.
Yeah. I'm just amazed Billy Carson, like, InfoWars has the nerve to even post this clip and think people are going to not realize what he's doing. But I don't know, maybe some people don't. I don't know. But
it's just back, going back to the Ammon Hillmon thing. People believe. You post something on TikTok or Twitter or X or Facebook or something, several times out of 10, people are going to believe it.
Yeah.
Even though it's a 2-minute clip.
Yeah. So, yeah, but that's bottom line is he rapid fired a bunch of theories. He got one of them right, that it looks like it was a power station. At least that's what they're claiming. And so now he predicted the future, when that's been one of the theories for forever. And he's not even explaining how it works. Like the other guys who were talking about it being connected to the F sharp. They're talking about, there's something to do with the vibrations traveling up the pillars and the structures because the vibrations are connected to the bedrock. And he's saying, oh, the Nile ran under there. That means it was a power station. They didn't find any evidence of the Nile running under there. So they were saying that it was like connected to like the rotation of the earth or something. And the vibrations from the bedrock was what was creating the power. That was what they were claiming. Don't know if that's true, but that's what... From what we watched last week, that seems to be what they were claiming, unless you heard something different, because that's what I heard. So we're ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Jen said, did you hear they found a pyramid in Israel?
I didn't hear that.
I did not hear that.
Huh. That's interesting. Okay.
We'll have to look into that.
There you go. All right, here we are. Let's keep going.
Those ions rush up into the chamber, and they would go into the Grand Gallery. The Grand Gallery used to have resonating rods. Now, the rods have been removed, but the slots where they went up the Grand Gallery are still there till this very day. Then that energy would be pushed into the King's Chamber, which you've been in with me, right? We meditated in there. Inside the King's Chamber, now that area is like a fusion chamber, and the energy would shoot up through the top, through the apex, and now you have wireless energy. Nikola Tesla tapped into the same exact understanding of how that worked and duplicated it with the Wardenclyffe Tower. Now that wireless energy would transmit around the area, and the crystal granite obelisks would capture it. And then if you had something called a JED, a DJED, it looks almost like a Tesla coil with a cable coming out of it. You'll see it in Egyptian hieroglyphs. It's connected to light bulbs and other technologies, electric gold plating. You can then power it wirelessly from the ambient electricity that's been transmitted from miles away from the Great Pyramid. That's just one purpose. Another purpose, when you look at the way that the Great Pyramid is designed in the Queen's Chamber and then you have the King's Chamber, well, water was set to rush down and into the Queen's Chamber, and with the chemistry and also the metallics down there, you can see how there would be some form of electrolysis that would occur.
I agree, Jen. Yeah, I think he got the Tesla thing right. I know that's a really common idea that, a lot of this stuff was based on Tesla. Like Tesla rediscovered this ancient technology, basically. When you get into the mechanics of what he's saying about this being like determined by water running into the pyramid, though, that's not what these current guys are claiming. So, but he did get the Tesla thing right. Yeah.
And I'm not the only one that has this hypothesis. Engineer Chris.
Yeah, it does make sense for the free energy thing. Yeah.
Christopher Dunn had the same exact hypothesis as me. I just found out about maybe a month ago when I finally talked to him on my podcast. So this electrolysis would extract hydrogen from the oxygen, the H2O, and then you have a hydrogen chamber. So now what's interesting about that, the way it's connected to the shafts that lead up into space, when you look at the pyramid alignment with the stars on certain millennial alignments, you find out that it aligns with Orion, it aligns with Aldebaran, it aligns with Pleiades, it aligns all these star systems. And what is the frequency that we transmit information on right now from a standpoint of trying to connect with ET? We transmit on the hydrogen frequency because it's the most widely abundant frequency in the universe. So I believe in my hypothesis, I always say hypothesis versus what I read, is that these shafts would shoot the hydrogen beams out towards those stars on certain particular alignments with information, data encoded into the hydrogen. In other words, an update on this breakaway civilization. It was a communications device, long-range communications to other stars. And then it also is a star.
Okay, so I kind of tuned out there for a second, but let me see if I understand what he's saying. So this thing talked about, so it was an energy, a Tesla power generator, let's say, but it's also a computer, and it's also something that's communicating with aliens. Did I get that right? Because this is a very versatile triangle.
He also did say that it was part of his own hypothesis.
Oh, I'm just saying, there's a lot of stuff that this pyramid's doing.
Oh, yeah. The Egyptians had it down.
Well, I'm just saying it goes back to my scattershot idea. You just throw a bunch of different stuff, and if one thing sticks, then you're right.
Yeah,
so.
You're right. Yeah.
Still doesn't explain the Brandon Biggs ear thing, but I guess I have to let that go now. So, okay, so makes sense of the free energy thing. Jen says, we talked about this before, quartz, crystal, copper, granite, water, you're getting something. Okay, and then Jessica says, so was the area surrounding the pyramids much greener, and get more rain, and toss in gold, silver? Yes, Jessica. So
it probably was.
They say that.
Flood.
Yeah, they say at one point in time that it got a lot more rain. But my point with what I was saying earlier is the rain and how much water's there doesn't really matter, because the case that they were making last week was that the pyramid pillars and the foundation that the pillars were on top of, that was connected to the bedrock, and it was actually like literally the rotation of the earth and the vibrations from the earth that were traveling, like, because it was a frequency. This is like the music of the spheres theory, where you're getting a certain frequency from the earth, which was F sharp, and by creating that, they were somehow able to harness that energy from the literal vibrations of the planet, and then they were using that Tesla mechanism to transport that energy out. As far as like water being involved, there's nothing from what they were saying last week. That doesn't have anything to do with it, as far as their like water being related, or the Nile being somewhere, or them getting more or less water at that time, or what have you. So Jess is saying, so they got energy from the tectonic plates. I don't know if it's the tectonic plates. They just said the ground, like the bedrock. So I presume the tectonic plates. So yeah, they were saying that the bedrock, as it shifts and moves, that energy was getting transferred up into the center of the pyramid and then somehow being captured and projected out to other areas. So yes, that's actually the term they used. It was geothermal energy. That was a term they used.
Geothermal energy.
Energy from the planet.
Oh.
Geoplanet. So, yeah, that's basically what it was. It was like geothermal energy. Only it wasn't like heat. They were literally using the vibration. The vibration correlated with F sharp. And somehow they were able to take that vibration and create some kind of generator with it and then transfer that energy out to people. So, that's the theory. Wow. Water has nothing to do with that. So.
Okay, so Jen says, so it makes you wonder what he was doing back then.
I don't know what we were doing, man. Probably had flying cars and all sorts of crazy stuff. I think I said this last week, but I think what we're seeing as far as like the UFOs and all that stuff, I think this is some ancient tech. So I think that they had a completely different way of understanding energy and how to transfer it, but they don't want people to know because they want to be in charge of everything, because they're micromanagers. That's my opinion.
1%ers.
Yeah, British billionaire banker types, the 1%.
The elites.
The old families, the old guard, let's say. Yeah. But that's what that's just my opinion, and I could be completely wrong. I don't know. But yeah. That's basically it. So, are there any
writing deeper in the pyramid?
People were claiming that there's a library under one of them and that we could possibly get access to they're hoping, but there's no actual specific evidence to say this is actually going to happen. But they're hoping to get like pre-diluvian, pre-flood writings in one of these chambers if they can ever get to them. Don't know, but that's what they're hoping. I wouldn't hold my breath, but
I'm holding my breath.
Don't do it for too long. I need you. My brain ain't sharp enough to carry this thing by myself today. So, diluvian means pre-flood.
Diluvian?
Yeah, diluvian.
I had my own personal theory on it.
Go for it.
It's about the Tower of Babel.
Mm-hmm.
What if the Tower of Babel was the original pyramid, and God shot it down, and then the Egyptians was like, oh, well, we can do it one better.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a thought I had, just my own personal
Well, it could be.
theory.
I think some people have said the Tower of Babel was a ziggurat.
Yeah, ziggurat.
Yeah.
So what if the pyramids are just bigger, better ziggurats?
Hmm?
What if the pyramids are just bigger, better pyramids?
Well, I kind of like the theory that somebody said in the videos we watched last week, where the smaller ones are actually us after the flood replicating what was built before the flood. I think that's kind of I think that's kind of a neat idea. So, Jessica Lambert says, are the writings diluvian? Jen says, yeah, I can believe when the Atlanteans got destroyed, the survivors moved to Egypt. I think so, too. And I wonder if they moved there because those pyramids were still standing. And it was kind of like a reminder of what was before. I kind of think that might have been what happened. And then Jess says, oh, then just say pre-flood, smarty pants. Love you, dear.
And then Jen said, yeah, or Babel people had to go somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, okay. Let's see. Let's see what else old Carson has to say.
Map. When you look down at Giza from above, you see the Great Pyramid, the other two pyramids, and you see the temples around. And you can actually connect those with lines and then make circles, concentric circles. You'll get the interplanetary map of our solar system. You'll get the sun in the middle, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and you'll even get Mars. And when you take the NASA map of our solar system and you overlay it, it matches down to the millimeter. That's crazy. It even matches to the astronomical unit, which is the distance from the Earth to the sun. That's a measurement unit to count distances in the vastness of space.
And then you go to the Nazca lines in South America. You go all over the world. All of them basically say the same thing. And so if you go back to what Plato said and others, and they keep, he said where other civilizations were, and they go, oh, no, Troy wasn't on this island, and they find the whole thing later. And Plato said this was all going on. So it looks like what we have there in Egypt is one of the big bases around the world. Now they're digging up giant pyramids in China. They're trying to hide it. The Egyptian government's been trying to hide this stuff. And then remember, they were going to go in the king's chamber, and all these they found in the last decade. They thought there'd be tombs. When they get in there, they find huge copper coils going in, and they find all these new types of communications that they've never seen before that are instruction manuals. So this is what they said thousands of years ago was going on, and it just keeps adding and adding and adding. It's not just this new ground-penetrating radar. That just fits in everything else has been found. So Billy Carson's been doing a great job for years. That clip you just saw was from 9 months ago before this new information came out. He was on with us in August of last year talking about all this. So it's not like we're just looking at this and saying, oh, look, it's real because of this. You can say, oh, well, their scans are wrong. No, this is what they've been saying for thousands of years. So, Billy, forbiddenknowledge.com, Forbidden Knowledge on X. Great to have you here, my friend. Where do you want to start?
Well, let's start by, first of all, thank you for having me back, Alex. I really appreciate your show, man. The quality of your work is unmatched. I'd like to start with, let's debunk the debunkers, because there are some, Zahi Hawass out of Egypt immediately, before looking at any data, tried to say, oh, no, we don't have any evidence of this. And so right away, he tried to hush it and oppress it like he does with everything, probably so he could steal the information and put his name on it later, and label it an actual discovery so he can get paid. However, so critics are trying to say that, synthetic aperture radar or SAR radar can't scan that deep beneath the Earth, because we're talking about 2 kilometers beneath Giza. So, but they don't understand, this isn't standard SAR technology. It's like it's unlike any other ground penetrating radar that we've ever seen. It's called Biondi's SAR technology, named after the Italian researcher and scientist Biondi. The SAR technology actually employs something called X-band microwaves that have a 10 gigahertz band at 3 centimeters wavelength. Now, this allows it to penetrate from a satellite in space all the way down deep beneath the Earth. But what it does is it doesn't penetrate through the rock. It picks up the vibrations that are happening deep, deep, deep underground. And from the vibrations, right, it detects the subtle surface vibrations and minute shivers, which triggers a resonance response. And this allows it to go deep into special voids that nothing else can ever get to, below or even beneath walls. And as it rides back up these vibrations, it allows it to read all the actual structures and empty spaces. So it sends the data back to the computer, and now it becomes this super advanced level of Doppler. And now we can see everything going on beneath there, and what's down there is exactly what was predicted in my book 5.5 years ago, The Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, which I have on page 34.
We're going to have to do something on these Emerald Tablets. They keep bringing that crap up. And I don't know anything about those guys. But if it's anything like the Sinai Bible, which is actually the Sinaiticus, that's probably going to be very embarrassing. Yeah. We've looked it up a couple times, but I'm not...
We never did a deep dive on it.
Yeah, we need to do a deep dive on those. But yeah, bottom line, though, is he did not predict crap. He just scattershot a bunch of theories he's read 100 times, and one of them was partially true. All right, let's catch up on comments here.
Jen said...
Yeah, you read them. I'm going to go get him a drink real quick.
Okay. I think some... The people stayed in Antarctica because I also believe they have a pyramid there. Why we cannot go there or fly over it? And just said, is there an on switch? Because free energy would be really great right now. I want free energy. Hey Cody, how are you? I'm out for tonight, but Gary, how does it make you feel that Alex is tight with Billy there?
It hurts my heart.
Oh, hurts his heart.
It hurts my heart. Was there anything else for me? Or was it just Cody being mean?
Jen said Billy is too prideful for my taste. And Cody said he likes to make salacious claims for sure. Billy. I think he's talking about Billy there.
Yeah.
And then Jess said, what are the tablets called again?
The Emerald Tablets.
Like Sonic the Hedgehog.
They're in emerald, which means they're ancient and have hidden knowledge instead of somebody just wasting time. But they're on emerald. That means they're important. Anyway.
Now we're going to be like Sonic and chasing after emeralds.
Exactly. Well, my tablets are on rubies, so suck it. So, all right. Yes, Cody, I am extremely disappointed in Alex Jones. I doubt his ability for discernment has been called into question.
Cody, are you still here? I have a surprise. I was going to show you guys this evening before you leave.
Yeah, Cody, you picked a lousy day to do other stuff. Come on, man.
I brought it with me.
Oh. All right, you might have made a good call, Cody. Stay away. Run while there's time.
Do you want me to read one?
Oh, please no.
Are you sure?
Cody said, "Yep, he's still here." It's a book of dad jokes. Run.
What's the difference between a bad joke and a dad joke?
Enlighten me.
The first letter.
I hate you.
Thank you.
Jen says, I wear emeralds every day and rubies. Yep. And so if you inscribe something on them, then someday there will be another Billy Carson who thinks you have ancient hidden knowledge. So, yeah. Jess is saying...
Emerald tablets are connected to the Atlanteans?
Yeah, apparently they're connected to the Atlanteans. Wouldn't surprise me if, I don't know, if they're real, that would be funny, but I just kind of doubt it. I mean, it just sounds like something somebody would say when they're trying to trick people into thinking it's important. But if you're an Atlantean or whoever, why would you write anything on emerald?
Because it's cool.
What if you get a typo? Like, what if they forget the ancient equivalent of a comma? There ain't whiteout for that, and congratulations, your typo just cost $1 million or whatever their currency was back then. It's just a stupid, impractical idea.
What's the Emerald Tablet of Thoth? What is that?
The Emerald Tablet of Thoth. Yeah, Thoth is some Egyptian god, deity thing.
Oh.
Jen says, I can't. They are in strands. Well, there you go.
16-inch strands.
There you go. You melt them down, maybe, or I don't know. However they did it.
A chisel, probably.
Emerald Tablet of Thoth. Yes, I believe that's what they're talking about. 16-inch strands. They are beads. Are those what you're talking about? Yes, I believe it's the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Yeah. We've looked that up. That term sounds correct. Jess says...
I can't say that long word.
Jess says this is a pseudo-historical book, not a real artifact, written by Maurice Doreal in the 1940s or early 1950s. Yeah, that sounds about right. Did Maurice Doreal get suicided by the CIA? Just asking for a friend. I don't know. Everything's the CIA. It's my Rorschach test. Anyway.
Yeah, everything is from the
Okay. Cody says, if you want something to stick around forever, make it out of something precious. Yeah, but that's also why they had parchment, because it stuck around for forever. Dried animal hide. That's what they used to write that stuff on, and that was expensive enough by itself. So... yeah, that's what I got off the internet. Well, you're probably right, and I imagine Maurice, whatever, Doreal, probably was conveniently murder-suicided in a car, shot in the back of the head 12 times, and then called it a suicide. That tends to be the pattern with these cults and fake artifact things. And Cody says, just playing devil's advocate. LOL. Yeah, well, you did all right. That's a good question. It would, maybe somebody would think that if you melted down a bunch of emeralds or whatever, and yeah, I guess maybe you could. It would be stupid, but if somebody had infinite resources and time, perhaps somebody might have tried it once, maybe. But you know what would have happened, though? You know what would have happened, though? Somebody else would have found it and said, oh, look, a bunch of emeralds, and then remelted them down and turned them into jewelry. So Jen could wear them, in beads. And then Jen goes, no, not mine.
Jen, you have melted down tablets.
She goes, yes, I wear them. So, yeah, somebody would have said, oh, great, if I melt this down, I'm going to get so much money. Yeah, it wouldn't have lasted. Anyway, all right, we got to wrap this up. It's been way past 30 minutes. We need to move on to the next
I don't
thing.
have any wrapping paper.
So if you want to watch the rest of silly Billy Carson, go to alexjonesband.video, and it'll be there.
We might put it in.
I would tell you the title, but since I already read it, it's so ridiculously long you'll never remember it. So just go to band.video and type in Billy Carson. I'm sure it'll show up. If you must know what this prophet said. So.
Oh, he's a prophet?
May as well be.
Oh.
I'm detecting something that starts with the letter B.
Jen's going to wear her beads with pride.
Well, there you go. All right, Trevor, you want to close this out, sir?
Thank you for watching this episode of our show. We will continue on, and we're not actually leaving. This is just for the...
it's the end of episode 2. Yeah.
It's the end of episode 2. We're going to stick around on a live stream and start episode 3. What are we talking about again?
Let me sign us in really quick.
Okay.
Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or as we like to call it, the Tri-F Podcast, where we try not to screw the podcast up. And today, we are talking about the CIA found the Ark of the Covenant. So they say. Really, they're just trying to distract people from the JFK files, but they found the Ark of the Covenant.
Where did they found it this time?
Oh, this is all sorts of clever. They really narrowed it down, Trevor. You want to know where they found it?
Up north somewhere?
The Middle East.
Which middle?
The whole middle. Somewhere in the Middle East. They know where it is, guys. So that's the way I understand the story anyway. So here's the article. The CIA used experimental intelligence methods, psychics, to attempt to locate the Ark of the Covenant, but the revelations are about 25 years old. The Ark of the Covenant is more than a lost treasure for Indiana Jones to track down. It's also an important symbol in Jewish faith and history. In recently resurfaced documents, as reported by right-wing British outlet The Daily Mail, the CIA outlines how it used a remote viewer. Relish the bullcrap behind that statement. Just take a moment, breathe in the stench, relish the bullcrap. Remote viewer, psychic, men who stare at goats. That's what that means. Somebody took LSD and had a vision, and these dad-blame bureaucrats called him a remote viewer. Oh, that is the kind of stupid only the government could make up. This is amazing. So, a remote viewer to mentally locate the site of the artifact, which has remained a mystery for centuries. And this psychic is going to solve it for us, guys.
Do you not believe in remote viewing?
No. Not the way these guys pulled it off. They probably fed the guy a bunch of shrooms.
Oh.
All right, the topic is trending on X and Google Thursday amid heated political debates over whether or not military plans in Yemen that were accidentally shared in a Signal group chat where a journalist What the heck does that have to do with this? You liberal tard trying to shoehorn current events. Good night. All right.
Remote viewing is real, bro.
Oh, is
What the?
remote viewing is view, bro? What the? Oh, well, maybe you should come on the show and make your case, Cody. But in the chat, I'm just going to say, you're wrong. It was shrooms. And he spoke to a demon goblin. So anyway, the CIA Project Sunstreak took place in the 1980s and sought to establish remote viewing, the ability to describe remote areas or conceal data via unknown mental processes, shrooms, as an intelligence tool. In one exercise, the remote viewer was asked to locate the Ark of the Covenant and reported it to be somewhere in the Middle East. Oh, Cody's back. Well, apparently challenge accepted, good sir. Give me a minute. You need to give me a little bit of a warning.
Can you see me?
Not yet.
Can you
Not
see me?
yet.
Here we
Hang
go.
on. I gotta switch the viewer around. Challenge accepted, though.
Welcome back, Cody.
Welcome.
What's happening?
I thought if I taunted you a little bit, you'd show up.
I'm walking my dog, so it is what it is. But
That's fine. Give me a minute. I've got this goofy technical issues. Let's see. Zoom, co-host meeting. I hate this thing.
Is the audio only?
No, it's just I've got all our cameras up, but it's not wanting to let me access the window that I'm wanting to access without re-clicking on CRUD. Because this thing is petty. There we go. Goodness. All right. While Cody's getting himself set up, let's see who.
it's dark outside, so you might not be able to see me anyway. But
That's fine. That's fine. We're just happy you're here. I've been missing you tonight. We talked about Billy Carson, and I was like, man, I wish Cody was here. And then Trevor was wishing you were here, but it was only so he could share his dad jokes, and I was very sad. So.
Well, I was wanting to do I got a frequency video I was wanting to show you.
Okay, yeah, he had this musical frequency thing. Okay, Jen says, Ron Wyatt found it a long time ago. I actually have that video pulled up. I have footage of Ron Wyatt supposedly, digging through the tunnels. We can. I'd have to find it again. But yes, it's like the tab is pulled up, but I have to just find it on the video. But yes, we could watch that if you'd like.
Heck yeah.
And, I mean, this is what I think happened to it. I think Ron White actually found it, but he was working with the Israeli government because he needed access to the land. And then when he found it, the Israeli government went in there and took it. That's what I think happened.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So.
And then
hey, you know what I bet's in that thing?
What's that?
What?
The genetic code to get rid of big noses and bald spots.
Racist. So, yeah,
blood was tested.
That's right. That's right. This is one of the coolest stories I've heard. Let me finish reading the comments. We're getting okay. Let me Musfama. Okay, so
Is it in Warehouse 13?
You're a moose farmer?
No, that's a fun show, but no.
Wait, what's
there are a few
Warehouse
of them
13?
anyway. Remote viewing is real, bro. Yeah, that was Cody. You're going to have to defend why you believe in remote viewing here in a second. So Jess is like, challenge accepted because Cody got on here. And then Jim was like, yeah, because the blood was tested. Now, that was what I was going to comment on. This is amazing to me. So where Ron Wyatt said he found the Ark of the Covenant it was directly under where Christ was crucified, under Skull Hill. And
really?
Yeah. And there was a crack. There was a fissure where supposedly the cross was dug into the ground because they would chip a rectangular hole in the ground for the plank for the cross. And when the earthquake happened, there was a fissure that cracked in that hole, and Christ's blood trickled down that fissure, and it ran into the center of this mountain, where it dropped into this stone. I don't know what you would call it. Stone rectangular box that was holding the Ark of the Covenant, and basically that blood drained into the altar seat, and that was symbolic because the priests would sprinkle the blood of the ram onto that holiest of holy, like that spot in the center of the Ark of the Covenant. And apparently Christ's blood fell into that exact same spot during the crucifixion. indicating that he was the final sacrifice for the whole sacrificial system. So,
Wow.
yeah, and what was crazy is that the scientists, according to Ron Wyatt, tested the blood, and it only had, I believe it was 24 chromosomes. I don't remember how many we're supposed to have. I think it's 46.
Yep.
So, but he only had 24. So he basically had 23 chromosomes, if I'm getting the number right, 23 chromosomes from the mom, and then 1 male chromosome, and that was it. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty cool.
Wow. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I have that video pulled up if we want to watch that. But I wanted to relish in the CIA's stupid. Let's catch up on comments really quick. Jess called you a racist, Cody.
Yeah, I mean, a little.
A little. Jid says, LOL, I learned that a long time ago. They flipped out about the blood. They were shocked. Yep. On the mercy seat. Thank you, mercy seat. That was the term I was looking for. The Jews were shook. Sorry, but they were. Because the blood was alive. Jessica says,
Right.
Warehouse
That's
13 is a sci-fi show that plays off the idea that a secret organization hides all these supernatural artifacts and certain agents care for them, which basically means plays with them.
Yeah, right.
It's a cool show. And Jen says, and that's unheard of. So yes. So we're caught up on that. Let me finish. Oh, first of all, Cody, remote viewing. What is this?
I'm kind of surprised you don't believe in it. It's like I guess I view it like, so, in 2 Peter, it says God views things like the rim of a glass.
Yeah.
Okay, so to me, like, whenever you get into meditative state, like that's what you're chasing. It's like a view of the way God sees it. So like that's when you get like dreams and stuff, like deja vu and stuff like that. It's like little clips of that.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like astral projection.
Maybe. I mean, I guess they could be connected. It's the same kind of state, I guess.
Yeah.
Like if you focus your energy towards, like somewhere in Mexico, you had an emotional thing happen at that spot, and you like project energy towards it, in that meditative state. You can kind of see what's going on there at that moment. I don't know, maybe.
So these remote viewers projected their thoughts into the Middle East, and what they got it's somewhere in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Let me add a qualifier. It's not that I don't think remote viewing is possible, the way you defined it. I don't think the CIA can do it and force it. I think they took shrooms and somebody claimed that they saw something in the Middle East.
Well, that's the thing. Like I think, yeah.
Like
it's the same kind of system, but it's like it's the lower realm of it.
Yeah. Well, look, relish this comment. Like, it's just ambiguous enough to be useless. In one exercise, the remote viewer was asked to locate the Ark of the Covenant and reported it to be somewhere in the Middle East and hidden underground, dark and wet, and protected by use of a power unknown to us, which is basically all the information you could infer from the Bible.
Yeah.
That's just about pointless. So I'm very skeptical that this person remote viewed anything. It's like, it's outside and it's buried because it would have to be. It just irritates me. But anyway, and just for more appreciation, I personally enjoy this. Look at what they named this project. This was a hippie. Project Sunstreak. Project Sunstreak. Good morning, Starshine. The Earth says hello. So,
Teletubbies.
yeah, Teletubbies, exactly. So this is a picture of the document.
My son.
Huh?
Dang, there's a dog. Sorry.
Oh, it's all right. Yeah, a bunch of handwriting nobody can make out. Oh, he drew a picture. Look, guys, this clears the whole thing up. This is the picture Starseed or whoever it was drew to tell us where the Ark of the Covenant might be, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just about pointless.
Is the wind too loud?
No, you're good, man.
Right.
Hey, look, wherever it is, there's bricks nearby.
Wow.
And there's a curvy thing. See? These aren't things you see all the time. And there's a tank. Don't know what a tank is doing there.
Probably a toy.
Yeah, toy
Toy
tank.
tank.
There we go.
Or
And
a
then a bunch of
catapult.
signatures. I don't know. Hey, look, a mosque.
Wait, go back up to the tank.
Yo.
Actually, it looks more like a catapult than a tank.
Well, whatever it is, it's your taxpayers at work. Someone had to take shrooms to draw this.
Oh, wow. I just zoomed in on what you're seeing. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's terrible. I mean, that is kind of how it works. Like, is that a remote viewing
Drawing.
drawing?
I think
Yeah.
so. I mean,
mean,
I haven't
I've-
read
I've-
every piece of this, but I think it's remote view drawing, yeah.
I've seen people actually like do this.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can be accurate with it.
Yeah, they just hold their
Okay,
hand over
well, give
paper
me an
and-
anecdotal account. Give me something interesting that might validate this, because this is just lame, and I'm just seeing taxpayer dollars at work here. So,
Well, I mean, there's a channel I listen to that I've talked about him before, Jaron. He actually had a couple that did this come on his show, and
mhm.
like he described the thing, but he didn't tell them what it was, and he like had them try to figure out what it was, and they nailed it. Pretty cool. I don't know, man. I think there's credibility to it. Is this MK Ultra stuff?
I think this is part of the big document dump from the JFK files. Why it was in the middle of the JFK files, I don't know, but probably just somebody screwing up. But
Yeah, no, I believe it.
yeah,
I think
okay.
it's all-
Well, here's
it's all
the
pretty credible.
statement. Okay, so let me read what this person claimed that they said really quick, or what they said they saw. I think this is a paraphrase of what they specifically said. So, target is a container. This container has another container inside of it. The target is fashioned of wood, gold, and silver. The target is similar in shape to AOL, a coffin, and is decorated with seraphim. See sketch, page 16.
Ew.
This target is located somewhere in the Middle East, as the language spoken by individuals present seemed to be Arabic.
Ew.
Visuals by surrounding buildings indicated the presence of a mosque, domes. See page 12. Individuals in the area were clothed in virtually all white and had black hair and dark eyes. One figure I homed in on wore a mustache. All right.
There was people with it.
Yeah, which kind of tells me it's bullcrap, because earlier they're saying it's dark and underground, yet there's a bunch of people there, and it's
Well, it
like
could be
near a
like that.
mosque. Like they're seeing, it's basically disjointed dream vision type stuff, you know? Like
Yeah,
you're
they're
seeing.
getting little like keywords or key descriptions or
Yeah,
shit,
yeah. So
grabbing it out of the ether.
yeah,
It could be hokey, but man, I've seen a lot of people do it.
yeah. So the target is hidden underground, dark and wet, where all aspects of the location of the target. The purpose of the target is to bring a people together, see page 16, has something to do with ceremony, memory, homage, and the resurrection. There is an aspect of spirituality, information, lessons, and historical knowledge far beyond what we now know. The target is protected by entities and can only be opened now by those who are authorized to do so. This container cannot be opened until the time is deemed correct. Once it is time to open the container, the mechanics of the lock system will be found to be fairly simple. Individuals opening the container by prying or striking are destroyed by the container's protection through the use of a power unknown to us. That is the quote. That was interesting. That was worth digging through this thing for. I thought that was interesting. It might have been shrooms, but it was interesting. So, all right. So let's catch up on comments here, and then maybe we can click around on that Ron Wyatt video that I got pulled up.
Every time you say Ron Wyatt, I think of the comedian.
I know.
Ron
I
White.
know.
Yeah.
Kind of funny.
Let's
You
see.
think it's some fat guy, some drunk fat guy with the cigars doing all this science shit.
Yep. Let's see. Jen said, deja vu is something you have done before or feels familiar. Astral projection is being somewhere else. And then Jessica asked, was that a cow nose? Was there a cow nose on there?
No, she was calling the tank a cow nose.
Oh. Jen said, read that it's protected by use of a power unknown to us. 2. Cool. And then Jess said, when have you seen someone do it? Can you give us an example? I think she's talking about.
Yeah, she's referring to Cody.
Cody,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have any links or anything, but I synced it.
You've synced
Trust
it.
me, bro. Just trust me, bro.
I synced it on the internet.
We trust you, Cody.
And then Jen said, yep, the Bible speaks of that. That's Ron White.
Yeah, he's thinking of Ron White.
And
In
then Jess
public.
said, I was just going to ask about the comedian, too.
All right, that's
No,
fine.
I think this guy's Ron Wyatt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ron Wyatt. Okay, so I guess I need to pull that up now, don't we? I think we're done with this document, so let's see if I can pull up. I had been sitting on this story for weeks. I found it weeks ago, and I really wanted to talk about it because I thought the footage was, like, awesome.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
Thank you, sir.
You have awesome footage. That makes you awesome.
That makes me awesome, huh?
What the?
What the? Ron Wyatt, him and his son. Jen said.
Let's see here. Give me a minute. I'm going to have to find...
Your minute's already
Uno
up.
momento.
Because I'm not going to watch the whole thing. Like, there's a full documentary on the YouTube channel, His Perfect Bride, if you want to see the whole thing. But I want to show the excavation really quick. Oh, it kicks it off right in the beginning. This will be good. And I do recommend everybody watch the whole thing. The whole thing really is awesome.
Yeah.
So, like, I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. So, here we go.
And this is the guy who actually found the Ark of the Covenant.
I think he did. I think he did.
We saw some of the furnishings from the first temple.
Yeah.
Is that him?
We
Yep.
accomplished
Yep.
that by going down through this hole here
Whoa.
that's about 40 foot deep, and then coming out of there back up into
Just waiting for a set of glowing eyes to look up at her.
a spelunker terminology, and then squeezing on into the chamber.
We broke our way in through a hole. We went 60 feet underground. We came back up. I mean, it was a real labyrinth. But once you got in this chamber, there sat a door right at the end of the chamber. And the people that brought this thing in busted a chunk of stone loose, dug out from behind it, laid it down, cut a doorway out in there, carried this stuff in. And then they covered them with animal skins, and then they covered them with wooden boards, and then stones. They packed that thing full of stones, backed out and shoved that chunk of rock back in place and filled in behind it. And today, from the outside, it just looks like a crack that an earthquake made, and there's a lot of those in that scarp.
Now, if it were just simply getting into the chamber, we could do that. But once we get in there, we have to have the ability to get all of those things out of that chamber and safely to the surface. So it's not like just treasure hunting where you go in and get whatever is there and take it out. we have
It's
to
not like Indiana Jones.
consider taking care of the objects
Dude, this is
that
wild.
are beyond this wall.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Billy, you.
Sorry, what?
I was talking to my dog.
Ah.
And we're bringing the radar scanning equipment out of the hotel here.
See if I can find the blood scene.
Man, this is fascinating.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Let's see if I can find...
That's right. And take about a minute for the scan.
Where is it now?
I'm telling you, I think the Israeli government took it because he had to get the
Oh my
Israeli
gosh,
government.
okay.
Yeah,
That's what you said.
yeah, the government. He had to get government permission to even go down in here because it's like I was in Israel in 2006 and I didn't realize it, but I was walking right on top of where he was at, and so 'cause that's a very public place because the Garden of Gethsemane's there. Like people don't understand. Like in the story of the crucifixion, all those places are very close together. So you've got Skull Hill, the Garden of Gethsemane, the Resurrection Tomb. Like it's all, Garden of Gethsemane. Like it's all like right by each other. So he had to actually, and of course they're all like parks and tourist attractions. So he had to get government permission. Well, when he found it, government learned he found it, and they took it. That's my opinion.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think the Israeli government's been sitting on that thing for forever.
And we partner with these people? What the?
It's
What the?
better than partnering with the other side. Unless you like
You say
burkas.
so. I mean, I do.
I would find that incredibly disappointing. All right, let's see if this is the right spot.
Nathan's giving it to Mark, who's hauling it off to the dump.
No, it's not.
Just more excavating.
Yeah, well, they just had cave-ins because that area is just filled with, thousands of years of rubble. And so all that ground is really unstable. So there's stuff on top of the Egyptian. Yeah. Sorry, go on, Trevor.
Jen said the side he was walking was like a dump of rocks, and God made him point to the spot to dig.
Yep. I remember that. All right, I want to find the blood scene really quick because that was like really
impactful.
Yeah, that was impactful for me anyway. So here we go. Let's open with what he said happened, and then we'll see. I think that's the right spot.
Amazon has a $50 million.
I don't care.
First.
Thanks for nothing, Amazon.
Obviously.
Not buying your stuff now. So let's listen to his account, and then I think the blood scene is right after that. Come on. There we go.
I didn't know what else to say. And then he said, I'm on my way from South Africa to the New Jerusalem.
Well, that certainly eliminated a whole lot of possibilities there. Immediately, that proved that he was a heavenly being. And I just sat there, didn't say anything, and he just continued to look at me. He said, God bless you.
All right, this isn't what I thought, but let's see.
In what you're doing here. He was at the top of those stairs. And he walked right back that little short sidewalk, took a right at that big pine tree, and headed for the front gate. Well, this doctor, of all people, was the only one in earshot.
Okay.
And he was back under some shrubs in the shade eating his lunch.
Okay, so I was a little off. Basically, what he's saying is that the doctor that tested the blood found the 24 chromosomes, and he was converted, from what I understand. And that's the story he's talking about, is the doctor telling him about it and then walking off. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And he piped up and he says, Ron, do you suppose we've been talking with an angel? And I said, at least. Well, I worked
Or I'm wrong.
with great enthusiasm for the rest of that day. when we left the garden tomb, I asked the ladies in there, I said, what did you think of that?
Dude, I'm gonna have to watch this whole video. This is all wild, man.
Yeah, again, the channel is His Perfect Bride, original Ron Wyatt, Ark of the Covenant Discovery with extras. So, all right.
They looked at me kind of funny. And they said, there's been nobody in here like that today. And then one of them said, well, Mr. Wyatt, there's never been anybody in here like that.
Okay, so I was wrong. Apparently he's saying he's seeing an angel, like, during the dig. So, but there's another story where the doctor gets converted. I was trying to find that story, so.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So somewhere between where he turned right past that pine tree and before he got to the office, he went on to the New Jerusalem.
The uninvited guest eventually left, and they were able to resume work for a brief time.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is right. We'll get through this and we'll call it good.
At this time, Ron made the following discovery.
Just a brief look around the surrounding areas here to identify the location of this site. Down to the left, of course, is down where the work's being done in the excavation. As you hear the electric jackhammer, we have been probing around up here by the cross hole, and just immediately to the left of the film container, you see some dark pigmented material. Now this appears to be dried blood, but we do plan to put some of this in the film case and take it back and have it analyzed to see if it is blood. Now this is right under the cutouts where Christ was crucified and near the cross hole that we believe to be the one he was crucified on. There, right at the very tip of the tab, there's some more of this real dark material. As soon as it's exposed to the light, it begins to turn a lighter brown, and this is typical of very old blood. So we'll take some more of this sample here, and it seems to have come down through this area here, as we've collected it all the way along and down into this crevice that communicates with the chamber that the Ark of the Covenant's in. It comes right down through here and down this way and around through a crack right in here and down through this area. Anyway, I have several samples of it that I have taken.
For many years, the specimen sat untouched. Then, in 1996, when Ron was in Great Britain, Richard and Elizabeth Reeves and their sons came to Nashville to our home. Richard had a new, unique, and very powerful microscope he wanted to show us.
Leviticus 17:14 informs us that the life of all flesh is the blood thereof. Once again, scientists are finding out that the truths of Scripture are far more literal than they ever imagined. Tiny particles have been discovered in blood that are seemingly indestructible. These tiny particles are less than 1/10 of a micron in size, and while they cannot be seen using standard medical microscopes, new methods of microscopy have been developed, which makes it possible to see them in their living state. The French scientist Gaston Naessens designed special microscope components that would allow him to see these particles, which he entitled somatids, meaning the body that creates. Through experimentation, Professor Naessens found that these somatids contain genetic material yet to be fully understood by the scientific community. They are polymorphic in nature, growing from stage to stage, and are unaffected by high temperatures, extremely toxic chemicals, or even nuclear radiation. Professor Naessens believes these somatids to be subcellular living and reproducing entities, the precursor of DNA, and that they may be the building blocks of life. About 6 years ago, I learned about these particles as a result of some research that I was conducting, which was totally non-related to archaeology. At that time, I was using a standard medical microscope, and while I could not see these particles, I knew they had to be there. I began to develop my own microscope patterned after the design of Professor Naessens. What you see behind me is that microscope in its latest stage of development. The microscope employs an extremely bright xenon or mercury light source, which can be combined with tungsten light. The light is directed across the microscopic specimen rather than on or through it in what is known as a dark field configuration. The light reflecting off the object is transmitted...
Okay, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because he's basically showing that the somatids are still in the blood, so the blood's still, like, alive, basically.
Yeah.
So we'll move ahead, and I think he shows him here.
And see what comes up on the screen here. And there they are, thousands of living particles, less than a quarter of a micron in size.
It looks like light.
Spores
Yeah,
are
yeah.
maybe a half micron, and but most of those little particles that you're looking at is 17,000 x magnified on the screen 17,000 times. You know, in the Bible it tells us that the life is in the blood, and there's little living particles that most people are unaware that are there. And this is the same thing we see in living blood. The scientist in Canada says that these things never die. The blood may dry up, but these things, he says, they're indestructible, and he says they are the basis of life.
Huh.
Pretty wild.
The results we obtained in no way can be said to be proof that the specimen was the blood of Christ, but based on the location from which the specimen came, we believe it was what Ron believed it was. Years earlier, Ron had taken a blood specimen from the lid of the case which contained the Ark of the Covenant.
The blood of Christ is only dried out, folks. It's not dead. When we rehydrated it with normal saline, 72 hours at body temperature with slight, very gentle swirling, and put the white blood cells in a growth medium, 48 hours later, we did a chromosome count. I didn't. This was in Israel. It has 24 chromosomes only. All of us here have 46. Unless, there's a couple of genetic anomalies that make that different. But Christ received 23 from his mother and one Y, sex determining factor, from his father, who was not a human father. Because had he received that from a human father, it would have been accompanied by 22 autosomes. Now what this basically means is that his height, his eye color, his hair color, and all of this was supplied from the genes of his mother's gene pool. However, Mary and Joseph both descended from David, but none of us have 24 told me before I asked him when I asked him to perform this investigation, that dried blood, you can't get a chromosome count on it because the white blood cells have to be alive and well in order to do that. You can get DNA, you can get some other things, but you can't get a chromosome count. So this blood is unique, and it is Christ's blood. And that's
With no explanations from Ron, the excavation suddenly came to a stop. On a later trip to Jerusalem, Ron entered the cave system alone through the middle door, and for the first time in quite a while he re-entered the chamber with the Ark of the Covenant. To his utter surprise and disbelief, he found the chamber had been completely cleaned out and all the items from the temple were set up. No longer was the Ark in the stone case.
The chamber where I found the Ark of the Covenant has since been perfectly cleaned out. And the Ark of the Covenant, the table of showbread, the candlestick, the golden altar of incense, they're all set out as they were in the earthly temple, except that the Ark of the Covenant is setting against the 12-foot long and 18-foot wide or high wall.
He found the original tunnel was also cleaned out, and he followed it to discover that it did indeed open into Zedekiah's cave. It was not the tunnel he and his crew had opened earlier. In the following years, Ron entered the chamber with the Ark a number of times.
Yes, the tables of stone were found in the Ark of the Covenant. I removed them with the assistance of 4 angels who lifted the mercy seat, which I would estimate weighs
Gary,
about...
pause.
Yeah.
I'm going to get off here and grab my computer because my phone's about dead.
Okay, cool.
So I'll be back.
All right, let me get her switched over then really quick. Let me just let this keep playing while we're doing that.
100 pounds of solid gold. And one of these angels told me to take the tables of stone out of there. He said God wants everyone to see those. And so I took them out, backed up, stood there, frozen in place, and I just can't describe my physical state or mental state or anything else. If I didn't have some physical evidence to prove it happened, I think I had a dream or something. But anyway, they're on a stone ledge right in the same chamber. That's where the angel put them after I handed them to him. I didn't know what to do with them. And I was told that these are to be presented with the blood evidence when the mark of the beast law is passed or enforced. Now, I know everybody wonders about what it is, the mark of the beast. You've heard all kinds of rumors, stories, and all of this. I'll tell you quick and simple. If you keep the 10 Commandments that God wrote upon those tables of stone, and about which he says in Psalms 89 and 34, those of you that are writing down text, you'll want this one. He says, my covenant will I not break.
I'm looking for a specific spot to hang it, to cut it off. So there's one spot I want to get to, and then we'll be done.
He wrote them in stone, and he says, nothing will change. Right? If you keep that law, you will receive the seal of God.
Let's jump here.
And when the centurions pierced Christ,
here we go. I think this is it.
And probably the left ventricle of the heart, depending on how deep the thrust went. The blood and the platelets and serum gushed out and went down through that crack onto the Ark of the Covenant, 20 feet below, and fulfilled, ratified, if you please, the old and the new covenant. And at that moment, you and I were bought with a price, as was everyone else on this planet, if they will only take advantage of what was done for them. What Christ did was enough to redeem every man, woman, and child that has ever been born on planet Earth.
So, did you get that?
That's crazy.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, when they stabbed Christ, the blood dropped onto the mercy seat, as Jen said earlier. So I find that very, very cool. Much more interesting than the CIA remotely viewing the Ark of the Covenant under a mosque.
Yeah, and he had a whole bunch of video evidence of them looking for it and whatnot.
Yeah, he verifies he's there. I mean, they went back, and of course that stuff was recorded in the 80s, and they went back in 2000, I think shortly after Ron White died. So there's a lot of compelling evidence here. I find this much more believable than a CIA document, personally. So Jen says, well, at least this guy believes it. So, yeah. And so with that, I think we're going to end this episode with something Jen said in the comments section. The blood is alive. I think that's a good place to end it. So we're going to...
Blood is alive.
Yep. So we're going to conclude episode 3 here. Trevor. We're not leaving.
Yeah.
We got one more part. Part 4. Anyway. So Trevor, you want to sign us out?
Thank you for watching this episode, and we will see you next time.
All right. Okie dokie. So,
But live, we're not leaving.
Yeah, we are still live. We're not leaving. We got one more. I guess technically 2 more because we wanted to talk about the 100 episode thing. So.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we'll see. Now we got to wait for Cody to get back because this is the music thing. This is the one that you picked for him, and he said he was coming back. So I don't know. What do you want to do in the meantime? Actually, why don't you sign us in first? And I got a plan. So sign us in, talk about the music thing for a minute, and then we'll kick off episode 4.
Okay, you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay. Welcome to Faith Fiction and Folklore, where we try not to hip the podcast up. And today we are going to talk about frequencies. And I've got Gary with me. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. And we are waiting on Cody to pop in. But I come across this guy. He just showed up on my For You page a while back.
Mr.
Channel is,
yeah, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Say his name.
Channel is Mr. Buzz's Man Cave, and he's from Canada, and he's just got a simple, small channel he's been working on, and Cody likes to talk about frequencies and stuff like that, and so I thought, hey, this would be a good topic to go over. So this guy talks about the A44 frequency, and how we're originally A432 frequency. And
Now, I know nothing about this, so this will be educational.
it was very interesting.
Yeah. So, Cody, you got any thoughts on musical frequencies before we begin?
I think you're muted.
I think you're muted, sir.
My bad.
Oh, you're good.
So, yeah. So in like I think it was the 70s, they switched all the songs from 440 to 432.
No,
I think it's a very
flip flop.
Strike that, reverse it.
To 440.
Yeah, reverse it.
Yeah,
my bad. I mean, I don't know. I can't say it. I think it has a very minimal effect. Like I just enjoy classical music more because I think it vibrates better.
Oh, well, this guy really talks about it in depth.
Trevor.
And he actually, in the next video, pulls out his guitar and plays it for us.
Can somebody say why? Why did they switch it? Does anybody know? Does this guy tell us?
Just to throw you off. Like, you're more influenceable when you're in fight or flight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the more things that they can do as the power structure, the infamous they, the more things they can do to disrupt our natural state and put us in that fight or flight response all the time, the better for them.
So what you're saying is they changed it up to get us in a place of anxiety, to make us anxious.
Sure.
Okay. Jen's like, wait, I went to pee. What's going on? Okay. We're
frequency.
We're on episode 4. We're talking about musical frequencies, and they changed it, and apparently sounds like they did it to make everybody anxious. So we need to go back to the way things were. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And so
this guy basically talks about that.
All right. So let's switch over.
Dude, that Jesus blood thing's crazy, huh?
Right.
It is. So yeah, I would recommend it. It was His Perfect Bride was the YouTube channel. So yeah, it's a fantastic. I enjoyed that documentary, so I highly recommend it. Much more compelling than the CIA finding the Ark of the Covenant with men who stare at goats or whatever they were doing.
Top men.
So
what's wrong with staring at goats?
It does nothing, but apparently they think you can kill a goat by just looking at it. There's a movie, The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Movie?
Yeah, I've seen that movie. It's funny.
It's George Clooney. It's great.
It's funny, yeah. It's ridiculous, but apparently it's a real thing. Again, taxpayer dollars at work. Hey, look.
Anybody want a June bug?
Nope.
A what?
A June bug. I'm outside.
In your house?
No, I'm outside.
Oh.
Yeah, we need to figure out how to do this outside. I want to do a live stream by the Chimenea. I think that'd be awesome. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Here we
You gotta
go.
light your cigar off of the flames coming out of the chimney.
That would
be very difficult.
That would be fire.
That would take talent. That would be fire.
That's what the kids say. That's what the kids say these days.
I know. Jess is a middle school teacher. Yeah, so we get to stay caught up on.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Bet.
Get to stay caught up in all the modern nomenclature. So
That's a good one. I've been saying bet a lot.
You been what?
I've been saying bet.
Bet?
Like
What
for
the-
yes. Yes.
What the bet?
Well, Demi's gotten onto those YouTube shorts, and she's always running around going, "What the Sigma?"
What? Oh, yeah. Elam says that too.
Dadgummit, YouTube. Anyway.
I asked what it means. And he's like, I don't know.
I don't think it
I
means
looked it up and
anything.
it said it was an internet nonsense word.
Yeah.
It's the 18th letter of the Greek alphabet, though.
Sigma? Well, I mean, the Sigma is like a type of male. Like, I don't know what the Sigma means, but yeah, the Sigma is like there's alpha, beta, sigma, gamma. You talked about that.
Yeah, gammas are the worst.
Yeah, you hate gammas. I'm still not sure what makes a gamma, but you've explained it to me before, so.
Yeah.
All right.
We might have to do a video on that.
Yeah, the various types of men. Anyway, so okay, on to musical frequencies, because that's alpha.
Alpha.
Good day, everyone.
Alpha,
and
beta.
welcome to Journey of the Anointed with Mr. Buzz. Journey and Awakening of the Anointed with Mr. Buzz. This is the channel of authenticity, I always say, and it truly is. I keep everything 100% authentic at all times. And if you like authentic content, then please do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that stuff, and I promise to bring you lots more authenticity, including...
Are we authentic?
I don't know.
I think so.
I think so.
This guy looks like he got punched in both eyes.
Yeah, it looks like he's
doesn't
having a
sleep
bad
well.
day, yeah.
No, he gets like 2 or 3 hours every night.
Thank you, Jen. Jen says yes. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate it.
I could screech for you.
Don't screech.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, you've got a pretty freaky one, though.
In today's
Jen says, yeah, he looks like he's been through the ringer. Yeah.
video, which is about pitch and A440 versus A432. So our standard pitch in this world, as was designated, I believe, by the Rockefellers, had something to do with this.
CIA!
440 is what's been chosen as the standard pitch, universal pitch of the world. Okay, that means all our musical instruments, pianos, clarinets, saxophones, whatever, any instrument you buy that can't be tuned, it's in a certain pitch, like a wind instrument or a piano. Those are tuned to 440. That's the pitch they're at. That's how they're made, and we keep it standard so that when you buy a saxophone, it doesn't have to be tuned to the rest of the band. Everybody's in the same tuning because the instruments are all made the same way. Now, 440, is that the standard pitch that we should be using? That's the question. No, it is not. It is not. It was chosen because it causes chaos. It causes imbalance. It causes dissonance. Dissonance is the proper word. So dissonance and consonance, these are two terms in music. Consonance is, let's just say, something that's
Vivaldi.
in tune, okay? Something that's perfectly in tune. And
I'm sorry, what?
I said Vivaldi. That's what consonance is. I love that guy.
All right, am I wrong for just hearing anxiety, dissonance, chaos? Like
No,
I don't.
yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
everything's balanced and nice. Dissonance is when we have frequencies that don't like each other and they clash a little bit and there's imbalance and a disturbance in the air, basically. So 440 is creating a constant disturbance and dissonance in our atmosphere because of that tuning that was chosen. That's why it was chosen. 432 is the pitch that all human beings and the cosmos and everything are in tune with. Okay, that is to be in harmony with our surroundings. We need to play music in 432. Okay. Now, what does this mean? Okay, well, if you're a guitar player, it's a lot easier than if you're a piano player. If you've got a digital piano, an electronic one, that has pitch control, you can change the pitch of your keyboard. You can go up or down.
Okay,
So if you're going to be a keyboard player, get one that does that for sure.
Yes, sir.
He just kind of goes on to kind of repeat himself.
Okay, well,
in the rest of the songs, to go and switch to the second one.
Does he play?
And that's when he pulled. He does in the second video.
Did you send me a second video?
Yes, it's in the.
All right,
Zoom
so okay, I see it now. I saw it just a little too late because I
Story
was
of my life.
prepared. Can somebody read the comments while I'm fixing this?
Hi, comments.
I don't have
Jen, Jen said, I don't like the Rockefeller, Rothschilds, Tom Cruise, Soros, Gates. Yeah.
Tom Cruise. You had to throw Tom Cruise in there.
He's a great actor. What are you talking about?
He was great in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, Diet Coke. So,
Yeah.
It was a great movie. That saved his career. So
Yeah, I can see that.
This is one where he kind of re-explains about it and then plays Soros.
Jen also mentioned Soros and Gates in that list of people she doesn't like. I just want to point out that Soros.
Nobody likes them.
They sound like Bond villains. I just want to point out that Soros got his money through USAID. And what is USAID connected to?
The CIA.
CIA! That's right. So everything bad goes back to the CIA.
Why would we want to see I's and A's?
I don't know. It's going to become my shtick. I'm blaming everything on the CIA now.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Journey and Awakening of the Anointed with Mr. Buzz, the channel of authenticity and truth and sometimes music. I talk about just about everything. So if you like things that are real and authentic, this is the channel for you. Please like and subscribe. Smashing that like button really helps me out a lot. It's been getting my videos out to some more people lately, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So this is a part 2, I guess, basically, for a video I made a little while ago, maybe yesterday, actually. I got a comment here, some questions here. So
what?
He's mad. This guy's a mess. He's like a mad genius.
Those are the best kinds.
I'll read what he said. I know that tuning all the strings on a guitar down a half step really makes it sound better. It also loosens the strings a bit, which is better for bending, and it takes a bit of pressure off the neck. Stevie Ray Vaughan did this. Yes, he did. Played an E-flat tuning. And that's what that's called. If you take your guitar and tune it down a full half step, you're in what's called E-flat tuning. But
for what it's worth, whenever I had my embarrassing attempt at a metal band in my younger years, our guitarist Thomas Cross, he dropped his guitar down to drop D, and I always thought that made it sound better. So, for whatever that's worth.
You're still basically tuned. Well, you're not in 440 anymore. I'd have to see what the number is. It's like 420 something when you do that. The thing about that is, if you want to do that properly, you should have a separate guitar actually for E flat, because there's a truss rod goes right through your neck, and when you change, like when they come from factory, they're set for 440, and when you change the tension on them and drop the pitch a half step, you've actually got everything out of whack a little bit. You might get lucky and it might play okay, but usually if you take a guitar that's set for 440 and you just start dropping your strings a half step, you're going to cause problems. So you need to have a separate guitar for that, and then you can set that truss rod for E-flat tuning, and then you won't have that problem. Okay, so that's what Stevie had a guitar tech who had to work on his guitar all the time, obviously, and he couldn't just crank that up to regular 440 tuning without his guitar tech doing something first, right? I mean, he could, but it wouldn't be good for it. So 432 is not quite that much of a drop. It's only a tiny little drop. So just to give you an idea, that's 440. And that's 432. I'm just playing the one string. That's 440. Okay, so it's not much of a difference. Now, what I'm really talking about here anyway is not, I'm not suggesting we move to 432 to make everything sound better. In my opinion, it is a nicer, richer tone when you drop that little bit. But most people are not even going to be able to tell the difference. Like, I could play this guitar and that guitar. One's in 440, one's in 432. You're not going to be able to tell the difference, really. It's a very slight amount. What I'm saying is that the vibrations, the frequencies that come off of your instrument when it's tuned to 432 are going to interact with the atmosphere and with human beings in a much more harmonious way than 440 does. Mm-hmm. You don't see the effect that 440 is having.
Okay, can we get some details? Like, can somebody explain to me how?
So if you were, it's a feeling. You can't hear it. It's a feeling. So like,
that's what I was about to say.
If you're walking your dog, and there's a house with the garage open, and there's music coming out of it. Okay, if that is Highway to Hell,
mm-hmm.
you're going to be maybe a little, like, you're definitely going to want to see what the people are doing. You know,
mm-hmm.
You're going to watch your back when you walk by.
Yeah, makes you nervous.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah.
If you hear Four Seasons coming out of that garage, mm-hmm. Some classical.
Yeah.
How are you going to feel?
Generally more relaxed, I would think.
More relaxed? I would be like happy. I'd be like, whoa, cool.
Okay, well, let me push back, because
I think it's a feeling.
Let me push back. I'm not being argumentative. I'm just trying to feel the idea out. So could that not be because of, like, associations? Like rock music usually means gangster, usually means somebody's up to no good. And it's because we make mental associations with certain songs, then we become anxious. But classical music's like, parents, nursery school, kids stuff that makes us more relaxed. So could there be mental associations with those songs that create that same emotional state rather than the frequency?
Could be, but if you put a small child in the same instance, like a 2-3-year-old, what do you think they would do?
That's a good point. So you would think that maybe the kid would be more tense or cry more if they're hearing like rock.
No, the kid wouldn't be programmed. I mean, you don't have those negative associations programmed in their mind yet, so they're.
So you're going with the mental theory. So like if you played rock earlier, like say in the nursery or whatever, then the kids' associations would flip.
No, I'm saying like a kid with no bias. How do you think they would act? No bias at all.
I don't know.
They never even heard music.
I don't know. All I've heard is that classical music supposedly makes kids smarter. That's like an old wives' tale that I've heard for forever. But I don't know how a kid would react.
I mean, I think like Four Seasons, that's designed after the Four Seasons. It's creation. It's like he tried to capture nature in a song, right? So it's gonna be harmonious with our brainwave patterns.
I will say this. I sang Sound of Silence to Demi when she was a baby. That seemed to put her out. You Are My Sunshine and Sound of Silence. She really liked those. So
that'd be a good remix.
Yeah. So who wants to read some comments? We haven't read comments in a little bit.
Oh, hi, Jim.
I don't have them pulled up.
Let's see.
Well, Trevor, you'll have to read them then. Or I can. It doesn't matter.
Don't a lot of bad things from his childhood done.
Tom Cruise, Soros, all the above. I imagine.
Oh, yeah.
They might all have done horrible. Well, I mean, I don't know.
I've heard God didn't want us to play a certain note, but I thought either Black Sabbath did it or Kiss. Cannot remember. So could the Pyramids do that?
Yes.
They were saying that
I
the
agree
Pyramids
with
were
that.
playing F sharp for whatever that's
Really?
worth. Yeah.
Wow.
And then
Like a dog whistles a pitch they hear, but we don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she said, I sang in Dreams by Roy Orbison to my son.
That's interesting what songs like kids react to and what they don't react to. So
Yeah.
it's always cool. But anyway, I guess I'm trying to understand exactly what he's saying. I mean, I think I get it. I'm just trying to conceptualize the idea into something more specific. Sounds like...
440. Later in the first video, he talks about 440 is tied to the demonic realm and stuff like that.
Oh, in the first video.
That's like closer to the end. And I wanted to get to him showing the...
Somebody's got a slight echo, by the way. I'm
Guitar.
not sure who it is, but it's coming through my headphones. So...
I hear something too.
Yeah, Trevor, I think is your headset mic on, perhaps?
Hold on.
Oh, wait, no, you're playing it on your computer, aren't you?
How's this?
What now?
Let's like somebody say something. Testing, 440s of the devil, or whatever it is. A40s of the devil.
Testing. Sing me a song.
Yeah, I think we're good. I don't hear it
All right,
anymore.
that was me. Sorry.
That was you?
It was my headphones.
Ah, gotcha.
I started the video so I could read the comments, and it was playing through my headphones.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. So, yeah, I think I understand what he's saying in that there's certain frequencies that make you tense because they're like causing let's say, a conflict between your own frequency that's getting put out. I didn't know if he meant anything other than that. So...
We're going to have to get Jen on here so she can sing us in dreams.
So, do we want to keep playing this? Because I guess I started getting confused because when I heard him play, like, pluck the strings and stuff, I was like, man, I kind of feel like A440 sounds better. Like that.
Well, that's what he was starting to talk about was
It resonates with you more because that's what you're programmed for.
That's what
Perhaps.
we're programmed for. And he actually plays some chords in a minute.
Yeah, let's jump ahead to that because I don't feel like I can make a decision until I hear like the actual chords and the difference between the two.
Take 2 weeks off from music.
Yeah.
Okay.
And see what you think after that.
Well, I've been listening to a lot of like classical stuff anyway, so I'm sure maybe the other stuff.
Have you?
Oh yeah, like Greek Orthodox, Kyrie, Lilium, like old school stuff. So
yeah,
been.
Yeah, the more you listen to that old stuff, the less you'll be able to listen to the new stuff.
Unless I'm working out, then I'm listening to like Jonathan Young doing metal versions of older stuff.
Nice.
You haven't lived until you've heard Jonathan Young's version of VeggieTales. It's fantastic. He does the pirates who don't do anything, and it made me smile.
Yeah.
We are the pirates who don't do anything.
All right, so here's the first chord. Let's see what it sounds like here.
Doing that. That is a sound that causes demons to be attracted to it. Honestly, okay? A perfect fifth is that. Now, a perfect fifth in 432, we're really good. We're in Tomb of the Cosmos.
Where would he hear that from? The idea that certain sounds attract demons. Like, where would you even go to read that? Or figure that stuff out? Or what the theory even is?
He got it.
Could be from experience.
Yeah, no, he owned. He talks about this in another video. He owned like a music school, and he had a music business. But you know, through personal life stuff, he lost it. And he went off on a drinking and drugs and all that. And it's part of his testimony. He talks about it all on his channel. So
what's the goal of the demon, Gary?
Feed off the negative energy, from what I understand. Okay. Cause torment, chaos, you know, that kind of, all things bad and oogly.
So if like your body's in a susceptible state for that, don't you think it would be easier for them to enter you?
Oh yeah, I agree that there's certainly like the concept of it, like chants and pagan rituals have that kind of component to it. That's part of the ideal. In fact, that's kind of why modern music sucks, because as time goes on, they've been just replicating pagan chants closer and closer. That's really all rap is.
That's what he's telling you.
I don't know. I don't know about the actual frequency stuff. Like, I understand the concept of it. Like, you know, that is what rap is. Rap. I mean, no offense to Tom McDonald. You know, you could use anything for good, but you know, the idea of that whole repetition and that kind of monotonous talking is to get you in like a hypnotic state, basically. Mm-hmm. So you're more susceptible. That's the point of it. So you'll be more likely to accept the values of Slim Shady or whoever. Like it is part of putting you in the trance. So I get that. It's just I don't understand how the frequencies tie into that. So,
well, I mean, heard a lot of people say it.
Yeah, I just wondering where they're getting it from.
Yeah. Well, if you have an attractive beat, your lyrics can suck. But if you have that attractive beat and frequency,
right? Yeah,
doesn't matter what you're saying.
What's that? Mm-hmm. What's that? The hook brings you back. He talks about it.
Yeah.
The hook brings you back?
Yeah, not the Proclaimers. Oh, what's their names? The hook brings you back. Hang on, I'll look it up.
Yeah, you guys are bringing a new idea to me. So
Blues Traveler.
The what?
Blues Traveler.
Blues Traveler. Okay. Well, yeah, you guys are bringing a new idea to me, so I'm like, I don't even know enough to disagree or agree with it. I'm just trying to feel the idea out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's like Counting Crows. You know, like their lyrics are super weird and don't make sense, but their music's just so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's like Nirvana. Nirvana was just, it sounded good, but the words were like completely nonsensical. I mean, you could have literally said anything, and it would have the sound would have sounded the same. So,
yeah.
But he didn't always do that. Like Underneath the Bridge isn't really that way. Mm-hmm. So you know,
I think the record company makes a lot of artists make those songs.
Yeah, like Teen Spirit is complete nonsense. Like it makes no sense at all. But Underneath the Bridge, I actually like. It's very visual and tells a story and all of that. So. I kind of, you know, it's just weird. So, all right, let's see if we can figure out if he has anything else to say about this frequency thing.
And we got nothing but consonants there. We got no demons liking that at all. But as soon as I play, that's demonic music. That will literally...
It's just a minor note. So is he saying minor notes or demonic?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Attract negative dark forces to the area you're playing your music in. Okay? Not kidding. I'm not kidding. If you listen to music that's meant for dark ceremonies, it will have all kinds of diminished fifths and minor seconds. Just that one interval right there, it pretty much epitomizes Hindu music and a lot of Arabic stuff, a lot of like, I don't know if it's Muslim music but in Arabic countries, a lot of the music they play, you'll hear that interval, that minor second, right? We don't use minor seconds in our Western music. We use a major second, right? We go, our first, whatever our root is, our next note in the scale is always a full step up. That's a major second. That takes that darkness away from it. As soon as you go for that minor second, darkness and demons are attracted to it. Anything from the kingdom of darkness.
I'm getting a little skeptical because now that he's using terms major and minor. Yeah, because I know a little bit of what he's talking about with major and minors. And minors are meant to convey sad emotions and, like, you know, move the audience. So are you going to sit there and say, because now we're not talking about frequencies, we're talking about notes that stimulate certain emotions. That's a little bit different. Like,
no, it's not.
Yeah, it is. I mean, bad emotions aren't automatically bad, as weird as it is to say. No, if you're wanting to convey sadness, yes, God made all the emotions. To sit there and say certain things that are created by God are inherently evil, that's, it's dualism. Everything has its purpose, but just because it's not always used the right way, that doesn't mean the thing is inherently evil. So when you're trying to convey sadness, loss, you would want a good reason to do that, for example, is catharsis. You know what I mean? If you're wanting somebody to, like, help process their emotions or whatever, they might play sad music so they can mourn. That's a good thing because that's helping you process your emotions and get past something. Now, can you take that too far and, like, become bitter? Sure. But some people like to use music and things like that and sad stuff to, process what's going on or to mourn something that happened to somebody else, Just because something's...
It's never helped me It's never helped me get past anything.
Well, people are different, and it doesn't help everybody, but, I could say the exact opposite, that's anecdote. It's all anecdotal. But generally speaking, just because you want to prompt certain emotions, that doesn't mean that the bad emotions are demonic and the good emotions are angelic. Like, it's like Gnosticism. So I disagree with the premise. Now he's saying terms major and minor. I'm like, And it's also contrast, too, because if you sit there and use, like, all major notes, you're going to get a monotonous song. And if you use all minor notes...
Sure that's what he's saying?
Well, he's saying that if you use the minor stuff, you're going to attract demons. And I'm like, well, follow that through. Does that mean we should never use minor? Because if you don't use minor, you're going to get monotonous songs. And if you just used all minor, you're going to get a very uncomfortable monotonous song. And if you use all major, you're going to get overly happy, but everything kind of blurring together. Like when you're talking about art and building creative things, contrast. People recognize contrast. Like, I'm not a musician, but I talked about this concept of Trevor when I was directing. There was a show that I did called The Fall of the House of Usher, and it was a horror play. And the problem with directing horror is...
The Vincent Price movie?
Yeah, well, it's an Edgar Allan Poe story.
Oh.
But I talked about this with Trevor.
I was super scared of the movie.
It's a scary movie.
I had to quit watching it.
Yeah, well, the play is meant to be scary too. But you've got a problem whenever you're trying to convey an emotion like fear, because what happens is if you keep things consistently scary and tense, what happens is the audience will check out. They'll stop paying attention because the emotions kind of blur together after a while, and you just get this ever-building tension until people just stop. And so you have to pick moments to relieve that tension. And so you do things like what I did with The Fall of the House of Usher, because you had spooky music playing and all this slow pacing and tension throughout the whole thing. But to break that so that it didn't become monotonous, about halfway through the show, I had this scene, because if you remember the story of The Fall of the House of Usher, there was an incest between the brother and sister, right? Like they
I don't remember. I was like 10.
Yeah, well, in the story, Basically, it's in the 1800s because of evolution. Everybody thought it was like, I don't know if it was just because of evolution, but it was a common idea at that time that if you wanted to keep your genes pure, you had to marry within the family. Well, people obviously started...
So you keep the money in the family, too.
Yeah. And, well, obviously people got inbred and, a bunch of bad stuff happened. And Edgar Allan Poe was basically doing a commentary on that at the time. So he's writing about this household getting basically wiped out because of incest is really what he's doing. And so the implication is the brother and the sister are together in an intimate way. And so what I did to break the tension in the play was I had the brother and the sister hug just for like 2 or 3 seconds longer than they needed to. I just let them hold each other way too long. And what happened is the audience laughed. And to the untrained person, that might look like a mistake, like I'm killing the mood, but I wasn't. I was picking a moment specifically in the play so that they could laugh and react to something, and that would de-escalate the tension, and then that way they'd be paying attention for the climax when the sister strangles the brother and all of that. So you have to use contrast, at least in storytelling, so people will continue to pay attention. Like... Alfred Hitchcock used to say, it's not the bang that scares people, it's the anticipation before the bang. You've got this building, then the bang, then people jump, and then they're back down. It's like troughs, waves and troughs, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you have to have, in the same way I would assume with music, you have to have minors and majors and different forms of contrast in a lot of songs, otherwise at least, especially if you're doing like multiple songs, otherwise things are going to start to blur together after a while. Like you need the contrast so people will continue to pay attention, because people can't hold a happy note, as it were, indefinitely, nor can they hold a sad note or whatever. There has to be ebbs and flows to people's emotions in order for them to continue to pay attention. This is just something I learned in theater. I'm assuming music works the same way. Yeah. So I kind of doubt this guy's premise because of that.
My question is, Trevor, does this guy talk about balance at all in this video?
I don't recall. I don't think so. But I
bet he does.
So, do we want to keep going, sirs?
Yeah.
All right.
Because he talks about it more.
All right.
Is attracted to certain intervals. Okay. The diminished fifth being the biggest one. Jimi Hendrix started Purple Haze with something called a tritone. Okay? That's the most evil sound you can make with an instrument right there. And I said something in my other video about how a dominant 7 had a diminished fifth. It has a tritone, which is, there's a diminished fifth within the tritone. So it wasn't really correct to say it has a diminished fifth. It doesn't really. A dominant 7 is a major chord with a minor 7. So it has a perfect fifth in it. But if you look at all the intervals in it, there is a diminished fifth within there, and it's called a tritone. These are things that demons are fully attracted to. As soon as they hear them, I mean, I'll have to cleanse this place just doing this demonstration. I probably brought something around. That's literally how powerful these things are, and how powerful notes and intervals and frequencies and pitches are. Okay, that 432 that will keep everything copacetic. Everything will be nice, harmonious, and peaceful. As soon as I play in 440, the atmosphere, even though you're not going to hear too much difference, your untrained ear won't even hear it at all. You won't even know. Okay, that's 432. Probably sounds exactly the same to most of you listening. To me, it does, and I can hear I can hear even teeny weeny little pitches or differences in pitch. But most people don't have the ears I have. The Lord blessed me with extremely good ears for music. I can listen to pretty much any.
To me, it just sounds like a lower register, and I kind of think it sounds a little bit better, but that's just me. But I don't think this guy's entirely wrong. I do think there is something to the concept, because like we were talking about, they did use music for rituals, and that minor note and repetition like that would create a creepy vibe. Yeah. So I don't think he's entirely wrong, but I need to do more research and test this idea in my head a little bit more. But I don't agree with the idea that major good, minor bad. So.
Yeah. What do you think about that Jimi Hendrix thing?
No, he had a point with the Jimi Hendrix thing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I would posit that intention has a lot to do with that too. Like when you make songs like that, you're intending to bring that stuff around, and so it's gonna come around. So that might have a part to play as well.
Like Highway to Hell?
Yeah, like Highway to Hell. So
I hate that song.
Yeah, it ain't subtle. So all right. Let's end with Jen's comments here. Vincent Price, I grew up with him around. Then Rap brought him back. Seen them 3 times. I'm assuming she's referring to the Vincent Price, like Edgar Allan Poe films. Let's see, there was Fall of the House of Usher, Pit and the Pendulum, and The Raven. Those are the only 3 I know of. And then...
And Grandma had all those movies.
Yeah. Sounds like that rhyme, that Leanne rhyme song, right? Leanne rhyme song, right kind of wrong. Yeah. And then Right Kind of Wrong. That's an interesting title, though. Seen AC/DC 2, No Rat, LOL. So.
Who is Rat? R-A-T.
Yeah, I don't know who Rat is.
It's a hair band.
Does that mean they had hair?
Yes.
They had a lot of hair. Lots and lots and lots of hair. So.
Was it real?
I think so.
And a glam band. So, put a lot of shiny stuff and hair flying around.
Bunch of girly men.
Glamorous.
Okay. I think we're good, guys. Now, this is the end of episode 4. We're going to do one more thing.
We're going to do one more thing.
First of all, Trevor, sign us off, please.
Thank you for watching this episode of Faith Fiction and Folklore, or listening to the podcast where we try not to F it up. And we are going to move on to the next topic. So thank you for being here.
All right. So I guess technically this would be episode 5. I don't know if we're going to include this in the podcast or not, but I thought if it depends on if we can actually kill 30 minutes with it or not, or a minimum of 21. It needs to be a minimum of 21.
We can kill 15.
Yeah, we can kill 15 at least. We'll see. Okay, well, let me just start it off. So, welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or as we like to call it, the Tri-F Podcast, where we try not to mess the podcast up. And today, during this live stream, we've actually broke. One of these episodes will be our 100th episode. So we've done 100 of these things.
Party on.
Yeah, and so we're going to reminisce, talk about, discuss where the podcast has been, where we're going, and basically congratulate ourselves and bloviate and entertain our own egos for 30 minutes.
Bloviate mean?
So, bloviate, talk extemporaneously about nothing.
Yes. Like astral projecting Bigfoots?
Like astral projecting Bigfoots. I cannot believe how good that one is actually done. That's one of our best, at least on the podcast end, that's one of our best performing episodes. Probably because the concept is ridiculous.
Right.
So, Trevor, why don't you tell the story behind teleporting Bigfoots?
Yeah, go for it, buddy.
I literally, it was just a thought in my head, what if, how Bigfoot's there, the videos that they have there, and then they just kind of disappear. And so my thought is, what if they learned over many years of hiding and whatnot how to astral project, and they've just passed the knowledge down through their own personal history.
And I was
That's absolute insanity.
Thank you.
And I thought this is a ridiculous premise, but it's going to sell on YouTube. That was what was going through my mind.
And so I asked Gary, I was like, hey, do you want to start a podcast? And he's like, well, what are we going to talk about? And one night we were talking about starting a podcast. And I was like, yeah, I think Bigfoots would be teleporting Bigfoots would be a good idea. And he's like, well, let's do it. And I was like, right now. And he was like, yeah, right now. And I was like, okay. And here we are. What's it been? Almost a year later?
No, it's not even been a year. We started in October, so about 7 months.
7 months?
Yeah.
100 episodes. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, we've been consistent, if nothing else. Maybe not talented or well researched, but consistent. So
what is research? What is research?
I have no idea. I've never done any.
Yeah, well, I guess I was just thinking if we don't do it, we're just going to talk about it forever. So we may as well just do it and look foolish. So
yeah,
that's kind of...
I don't think any of us are foolish.
We've looked foolish. We may not be foolish, but we've looked foolish. So yeah. Any highlights over the last 7 months? Favorite episodes or whatever?
Surprisingly, our Brain of Bigs episode live stream did the best. Was that the one that did the best?
I don't know.
Don't remember.
We made people mad with the Ammon Hillmon one. That's been the one that's been jumping out of my mind.
Really?
People have gotten mad. Yeah.
Why?
I think they like Ammon Hillmon. I don't know why.
Who?
I
You have people commenting?
Yes, we have people commenting. And they're saying angry things. Like, I was reading one today, and it hurt my feelings deeply. He said something like, we didn't do any preparation, and we're lazy and lame, and, I think he was just a fan of Ammon Hillmon,
Heck yeah.
So...
Oh, maybe we need to do more preparation.
That would be advisable, but we don't do that, though.
Yeah, I know.
Part of this stream is a reaction, though. We're reacting to things. Yeah. So that's kind of half the shtick is just impulse, impulsive, looking at stuff. But I will say this, though, about the whole ancient architecture thing, is I have done zero research at all in ancient civilizations or anything like that. And just my study in theology, I'm like, these guys are full of crap. Like, everything they're saying is wrong.
Yeah. No, Ammon Hillmon was an idiot.
Yeah. And it's just 30 minutes of studying literary criticism, theology, anything peripheral.
I've talked to people just like him. He's just like a piece of shit. That's it.
He's on shrooms. Yeah, I think he's on shrooms. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here's that comment 2 days ago. Do you want me to read it?
Oh, you can.
No.
I'll cry.
No comments.
I'll cry. It hurt my feelings deeply.
No.
So I'm wounded. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've been getting. He's not the only one. That Ammon Hillmon one ticks some people off. But
don't worry about it.
No, I think it's great because it tells me we need to do more stuff on Ammon Hillmon, and we need to do more stuff on Billy Carson because I think people should not be listening to those guys. They're idiots. They're just idiots. Yeah. And it's like if I can refute some dude's use of the Greek, having never heard of him before, and knowing he's full of crap, just what I know from Roman culture, like, these are not intelligent people. But when we were watching Billy Carson tonight, I did notice, because it was just kind of something we stumbled onto, this idea of the Christ consciousness, the way Carson is using it. And Jess actually made a point earlier. She said, if we're all gods, then none of us are gods. And I kind of looked and saw that, it just dawned on me. It's like, it's been about a decade since the angry atheist phase. And I was like, this is just repackaged angry atheism. And it's going after the same group of young men. It's just that same kind of like playing into the rejection of tradition and, you're being lied to. These people are hiding things from you. Because the atheists would do the same thing a decade ago. They'd sit there and say the church has got all these stupid arguments. It's really obvious that Christianity is true. And isn't true or whatever, and the church is just not telling you how it is, or it's the same kind of lines, same kind of playing into that anger and hostility towards institutions. Like, this is just a repackaged version of the same crap.
And then if you start making sense, they start cussing you out.
Yeah, they get mad whenever you start pointing out stuff. So it's the same bunch. They've just moved on from atheism to ancient civilizations, which is weird because the guy that I produced his radio show for and eventually his podcast for, he was an atheist, and he also believed in the ancient alien thing, and I never understood the connection. Now I'm starting to think that, yeah, there is a connection, that aliens are basically the new version of God. We're going to have, like, instead of a Greek pantheon, we have 70 species of aliens.
70 species?
Which are actually demons.
Which are actually demons. And if that hierarchy video we watched last time's any indicator,
they're just worshiping demons, just like we always have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's funny. It's just always the same thing over and over again. Just tweaked slightly. Just tweaked just a little bit.
Just updated.
So I'm a little more interested in doing Billy Carson stuff. Like, I had no problem us talking about Brandon Biggs, but I don't want to be the prophecy channel. Like, refuting prophets all the time and this and that. I just don't. I'm just not interested in that.
Yeah. It's cool once in a while, but if your whole shtick is just talking shit, you're not going to last.
Yeah. But I do think that this ancient civilization thing might be worth going
about
into.
Like Tartaria?
We could talk about Tartaria, yeah.
Or Atlantis.
I think it's all fake.
I do too. I mean, Greg's the historian, and he knows where that Tartarian thing came from. It's basically like, it's a generic catch-all term for the middle of nowhere in a certain language. I don't remember which one. And people are taking this phrase that means middle of nowhere and calling it a country. So
like the Middle East.
Yeah. So it's a translation issue, I think, from what he said. But I think that might be something to go after. But anyway, anybody else got any highlights? Whose highlight was that?
Which highlight?
I asked for favorite episodes, and then somehow we got on to Brandon Biggs. And no, we got on to Ancient Civilizations. You're going to have to help me. My brain is not working tonight.
I was just talking about Brandon Biggs because that was like our more watched stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cody, what's your favorite?
Do you have a favorite?
Do you have a
My
favorite?
favorite is Brandon Biggs.
Brandon Biggs.
He's just so funny.
Yeah.
The Lord told him to look up, and he looked up, and he just saw this light, and he just knew that everything was everything.
I think I lost faith in the fellow whenever he started going, see, my vision proves my doctrine. I'm like, oh, of course it does. So I was like, that's a bridge too far. But
he's a sack of potatoes, man.
Yeah.
What kind of potatoes?
I think my favorite has been the debate with Jeremiah about repentance and salvation.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was. Is he gonna get back on here?
I don't know. He says he's
been kind of a sissy boy. So
he says he's going to, but I haven't heard anything out of him, or he hasn't agreed to in like several weeks. So I think this was.
I hope he's watching right now.
Yeah, I think this was one of the weeks because he wanted to do every other week. So I think this is the week that he's supposed to be off anyway. So we'll try him again next week and see what happens. But yeah, the original plan was he's supposed to be on every other week. So and then we were eventually supposed to do a debate about the different models of atonement. I think there's like 7 of them or something, which I was looking through them, and I don't know what we're going to debate about, because it's like I kind of agree with all of them except for a couple things. Like I don't agree that you have to pay the devil for sin or whatever. It's like you owe the devil something, but it's little nuanced stuff like that. And it seems like the only reason you would even want to debate it is if you're wanting to refute substitutional atonement. It sounds like, based on what I've seen, that these models basically exist to try to refute substitutional atonement, but it's all basically saying Christ is God, and his sacrifice on the cross counted because he was God, which I'm like, yes. So I don't know how we're going to structure that debate. I guess I need him on here so we can even figure out what we're supposed to be debating about with regards to those models of atonement. So that's a whole other thing. But
our Napoleon Hill was Napoleon Hill part of the occult video? Got some good comments.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, there was
good feedback.
Yeah, we got some good feedback on Napoleon Hill and New Thought. But there's a streamline.
I wouldn't mind going after Neville Goddard.
That's right. You sent a text about that. We could maybe do one on him. Maybe you spearhead that. So yeah. There's this through line, though, with all these guys. It's this Christ consciousness idea. That's come up a bunch.
Oh, yeah. People have been talking about that a lot.
Yeah. And it seems to come from this New Age, New Thought stuff, but which may or may not have had connections with the CIA. But
hey, what do you think about Alan Watts? Have you ever listened to him? Really?
I have not.
Watts with 2 T's?
Yeah.
I do think that we need to do an episode on Michael Egner and near-death experiences. Talk about Pam Reynolds, stuff like that.
Okay. I think that's a look into what we were talking about earlier, too.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
Yep. I agree with your agreement.
So we've all said our favorites.
Indeed.
So, what do you want to... Okay, I guess we'll start with Trevor. Trevor, what do you want to... Where do you see the podcast going in the future?
There is no future. We just go with day by day. But as far as I can see, which isn't very far, then...
Can I be pedantic? Please let me be pedantic.
What does that mean?
Of course there's a future. There's always going to be a future. You may not be in it, but there's going to be a future.
But it doesn't exist.
What?
It doesn't exist.
The future doesn't exist?
Nope.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
It existed whenever you said it didn't exist a second ago, and we're in it now.
Show me right now. Nope. Show me right now. Show it to me.
Show you the future. In 10 seconds, I'm going to call you a moron.
Ooh.
5. He's counting.
7, 8, 9.
7.
You're a dingbat. So.
Oh,
3.
See, you messed up because you said you were going to call me.
It was a joke, moron.
See?
Do you want to hear a real joke?
What? Oh, no.
My neighbor is really into music. Even his driveway is hard rock.
Oh, I hate that. That hurts so bad. You want to talk about a minor chord that attracts demons? Is there a...
I got another one.
Is there a demonic realm for dad jokes?
Dad, I'm hungry. Hi, hungry. I'm Dad.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
Too late for that one.
Yeah. Okay. So Trevor's answer is there is no future. Can I use the word goals? Is goals allowed? Can I say goals for the podcast? Is that proper nomenclature? Okay. Trevor, what are your goals for the podcast?
To try not to F it up.
Fine. Cody?
I like Trevor's answer, but I don't know. I guess I hope we get huge and make lots of money.
I do too. That's a good goal.
Is that the right answer?
No, because then you're worshiping money.
That is is the American answer.
It's the American answer, capitalism. Baby.
It's the American way. It's the American dream.
No, I can't figure out. I'm having a hard time.
Talking to
Sorry,
go ahead.
No, I would say I can't figure out what in the world we need to do because I would like to do more in-depth research-driven stuff. That would be something I would prefer, but I don't know if people like that. However, based on what we've seen so far, like doing research on the New Thought stuff. So the Goddard fella might be good. You know, I would like, yeah, I guess we just need to do more based on what the views are and things like that. But I would also like to do more debates, but I don't think people like to necessarily watch the debates. I personally like debates.
Right.
You know, I like arguing with people. So, you know.
So we need to get more guests on here to argue with.
Possibly, yes. That would be fun. I don't know anybody. Well, I mean, nobody that would be wanting to debate the stuff we talk about, but
we'd have to start reaching out.
Yeah, we'd have to, which is more stuff to do. That's kind of what I think was like whenever we set goals. I'm like, oh, things to do, yay. Yeah, no, like I said, I'm working on something related to work, so I'll be out of the game as far as research and show prep for a while. But after that, you know, I'd like to, you know, do more heavy theological stuff. I still need to do the episode on textual criticism because that whole Wes Huff, the end of Mark not being there, made me mad, and I like rage read like a bunch of books and did a bunch of study on it, you know. And now it's like now I'm pretty convinced the Sinaiticus is a fake, and so I want to do like a whole episode on why the Sinaiticus is fake. And Simonides actually wrote a facsimile that they're using as an ancient manuscript when it's not. And that's like a whole situation. So I want to do an episode on that, but that's going to take me just talking at everybody for half an hour. So I'm not sure how to format that because we're usually just reacting. We're like, the three of us are sitting here watching something and then commenting on it. But, you know, I don't know how to format actually talking about something originally and lecturing on it because it's just going to be me talking at you for half an hour.
Does he have a video where he talks about why the Sinaiticus is real?
I don't know if there's... Well, I'm sure there is. I'm sure Mark Ward or somebody would have videos just defending... James White or Mark Ward would probably have videos defending the Sinaiticus.
Just go through and like try to rebut those.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, we could do it that way. But I also want to talk about Westcott and Hort. Those are interesting fellas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a bunch of stuff. It's kind of related to the whole ancient manuscript thing, which is in line of most of what we're doing. You know, but so yes, I have goals and ambitions, but I have to do things one at a time. So, and then we need to figure out a way to do more like fiction stuff, because I'm getting pretty mad at House of David, and I'm starting to remember how to refute it. So this stuff out loud.
What about like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that?
Well,
Marvel stuff.
We could. I think everybody else has done that, and good movies are boring to review. Like, they got to be crap, otherwise I don't think people will watch.
Oh.
Sadly. I mean, that's why House of David was kind of a risk, because I thought people might actually like it. And if it was good, I was just going to brag on it for 8 episodes. Thankfully, it's not good. So, I mean, I don't say that. I shouldn't say it that way. But, I mean, I hope it gets better. I don't like it so far. But, you know. But, yeah, I mean, arguing about media. Finding some way to incorporate fiction into it. Does it need to be religious fiction or just any kind of sci-fi? Our Terminator one did okay. Yeah, compared to our normal viewers.
I'm cool with doing any kind of fiction. Like The Crow. We could do one on that.
Yeah, we could do The Crow. That was sad, though. But, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I feel like we should do reviews of some kind. I just don't know if it should be like sci-fi because of me writing sci-fi reviews, or if it needs to be more religious stuff, because I don't think there's really a big market on religious media getting a review. I mean, I'd just be crapping on most of it, which might make people think I'm an atheist, but you know, maybe it's work that needs doing.
like Ben-Hur.
Ben-Hur's a good one. I like Ben-Hur. Those old Bible epics are okay. It's that early 2000s stuff that's garbage. Early 2000s, 2010s stuff that's really,
like
really
Left
bad.
Behind.
The first one was good. Second one was awful. Third one was awful. And I don't think there's been a good... Yeah, I think a lot of them are just crap. You know? Most of them are crap. I did see one that I really liked. I've talked about it before, Judgment. Judgment was really, really good. I liked that one.
Is that the one where they threw him in the furnace?
No, that's one where he gets shot at the end. Spoiler!
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, that one's a good one.
Have you seen that movie about angels with, what's his name? Jeffrey Chaucer off of Knight's Tale?
Mm-mm.
What? You know what I'm talking about? The guy that gets naked on Knight's Tale?
Yes, I do remember.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned nudity, and the guy comes to my mind instantly. Thank you.
Yeah, he does a movie with angels.
Oh, are you talking about? You're talking about Legion.
Yes.
Yeah, that's. I wouldn't call that a Christian film, but it is crazy.
It's a crazy movie.
Yeah,
we could do stuff like that.
Yeah, we could stuff with religious theme. That's a good idea. Religious theme material. We could review religiously themed material. We could review your show, Supernatural. We could tear into Supernatural. Oh, I would have so much fun. I hate that show.
I love it.
I love the actors on there, but I hate that show.
That's awesome.
Well, we could do that. That would work. An episode. We could crap on Supernatural. That would be like 15 seasons of just garbage. So.
Well, they're gonna bring out a new season.
Oh no! Why can't they let it? They killed their version of God. Like, what's left?
Well, Jensen and Jared, the actors, the two main guys, they wanted to bring it back.
What are they gonna do? They're gonna have like a civil war to determine who's God?
I don't know. I have no idea what
They're gonna be like. They're gonna do like the new Satan. Like they're gonna do like a dualistic thing where Satan's like a jaded brother, like Zeus and Hades, or something stupid.
I don't know. I don't know.
There's some director who comes across this going, "That's a good idea," you know.
Have you seen it all the way through, Gary?
Oh, I stopped at season 8 or 9. I couldn't do it anymore.
Oh.
Actually, I realized, if I'm going to make a living, I need to quit watching, I had to quit marathoning shows like Supernatural.
Yeah, you don't want to marathon it.
Yeah, it takes a little while. Jess loves that show, though. Oh, she loves Supernatural. Drives me nuts.
They got good stories.
I will say this. It's good up to season 4 when it should have ended where it was supposed to. And then it went. It's season 4 or season 5. That where you realize that Chuck was God, but they kind of fashioned it like, that was supposed to be the big surprise at the end.
Yeah.
And they couldn't just leave well enough alone.
Well, they did end it, but a lot of the fans was like, "We love this show so much, you need to bring it back." And so they was like, "Okay, we're gonna go somewhere with it. We have to. There's too many people that love it, and
you're gonna have too much of a good thing. 15 seasons is too much."
Yeah. Well, they're talking about bringing it back. I don't know if they actually have started any acting or anything, but Jensen and Jared have been going on tours and stuff again, talking about the show a lot. So
they're doing a marketing campaign.
Basically.
Okay. Well, Cody, does any of this interest you at all? Doing fiction
I've never
stuff?
seen any of it.
What do you want to talk about?
I mean, I brought up that first movie, but I've never seen any Supernatural.
That's right. You brought up Nefarious, didn't you? So.
No. Legion.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was saying, you were recommending...
It's kind of the same thing. But Nefarious and Legion.
Yeah. I don't know. That could be good. I like that idea. Tearing into Supernatural and Clump, whining about its theology, but that'd be kind of like taking candy from a baby. So,
right.
And mercilessly beating the baby with it. So, only the baby is the audience because we just keep repeating that the show sucks for 15 seasons. So.
Well, I think they were kind of going for that. They were trying to say F you to basic theology.
Hollywood being anti-theology? How original.
Yep.
So, no, it has been a good 100 episodes.
Yes,
I think we've got another 100 in us, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
If we're lucky.
You know? So, yeah, if we keep the minimum effort, we can maintain it for a long time. No, so if there's anybody left in the chat, please give us recommendations as to what you want to see. Because
I know Jen was wanting to do the moon thing. What was that?
Oh, Hollow Moon.
The Hollow Moon, and then the... Oh, what was that? The rock. The black rock meteor type thing. What's that called?
Oh,
Wormwood?
Oh, yeah, that thing that's orbiting the Earth, but it's a black asteroid kind of UFO thing.
Yeah, that thing.
Because didn't you say it was like the throne of Satan?
I don't remember.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called, though.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
I'd have to research.
Yep. So.
That could be where Satan took Jesus. The high place.
The high place?
That'd be kind of crazy.
Right.
I've always imagined the high place is like, you know, a huge high mountain. Like the Himalayas or something like that.
Yeah. Still can't see all of it from there.
No.
You know what we should review? We should review the movie Noah with Russell Crowe. Glenn Beck had a wonderful new title for it. I loved his title for it. He called it the Babylonian Chainsaw Massacre. It was
or Evan Almighty.
Oh, we could do Evan Almighty. Yeah, that was a funny one. Bruce Almighty's. Yeah, religiously themed content. That would be fun. That'd be on theme. Yeah. No, I think we're good. 100 episodes. Congratulations, gang.
Yeah. Indeed.
Work well done. I think we need to end it here. Oh, yeah. So let me finish my thought with the chat. Chat, or whoever's in the comments in the future, if we post this, because I don't know if we will. Give us suggestions, because we need help trying to figure out exactly where this show is going to go. We got some ideas, but we don't know.
What are our goals?
What are our goals for the future? So, anyway.
Let's go back to the future.
Yeah.
That one was bad.
Someday I'm going to have to review that, and I don't want to.
Hold on. Let me look for a good one.
What are you looking up?
What kind of street does a ghost like best?
A street does a ghost like best?
What kind of street does a ghost like best?
Something with a 13 on it?
A dead-end street.
Oh, I hate you.
Oh, jeez.
With that horrible joke said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Later, y'all.
Thank you. Good night.